And now the short pitch to Smith, and Smith spins out of it. And Smith inside the 15, looking for the corner, and gets it. Touchdown, Bears. DeAndre Coburn whipped at the line of scrimmage, and Smith sped off for 32 yards and a score.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
2nd and 15.
Good throw, and it's intercepted. He's got another one, and he's got a field ahead of him. Diggs is going to take it to the end zone. Unbelievable. Just when you think things are going your way, New England's going to stop and do something right. The fumble in week 1.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
And they go the other way, and it's Ebner, and he's got the touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Russ comes this way with a throw, and Cooper juggles, and he's going to make the catch at the 40-yard line.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And here we go. Thursday afternoon, Sikkim 365 Sports, 365 Sports on YouTube. Happy Veterans Day for those who served our country. We'll have Colonel Craig Flowers, a motivational speaker. He'll join us today at 3:45 a little bit later on. Sam Bradshaw later down, he breaks down Oklahoma and Baylor, how they will attack each other or try to contain each other. Max Olson a little bit later than normal today at 5:15. Baby duty was on his agenda, and so we'll do that with him. So Craig Smoak's off the radar. Paul's top 5, also a part of today's show. And we'll check in with Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys. Randy Gregory news on the calf injury. It's been the year of the calf injury for the Cowboys. So, all right, Russ Dellinger had a story earlier today, SI.com, about the college football playoff, and that it appears, based on his article, that they are done thinking about anything that goes to 8. It's either going to be 4 or it's going to be 12. And one of the differences in the tweak that he mentioned today is the fact that conference champions, not just conference, like 5 conferences in the Power 5, but conference champions would be the ones that would get the automatic berth, and the highest ranked group of 5, and then who else, whatever they do. Is that a tweak from the first 12 where it was going to be the 5, each conference had a team represent them?
No, it was always going to be the highest. They initially said the 6th highest ranked conference champions, which in that way of the language, then technically in some kind of weird world, somebody from the WAC, if they got super hot, could have wound up in it. But they've changed it to say the top group of the group of 5 champions and the top ranked
Group of 5
Group
team.
of 5, yeah.
Yeah. Craig, you like that idea? Does it matter to you right now?
I mean, yeah, I guess I haven't really spent a whole lot of time digging down and seeing the differences in what that would be like, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, we hear so many things about the playoff that, like, I'm one of those that it's show me what it's going to look like and let me, go from there. But, in terms of the speculation, I mean, I know we do a lot of that, but there's been so much with the playoff. Going back, I was 15 years old in high school, and the internet barely existed, and there was talk about a college football playoff back then and what the best format was and what the best route to take was. So, I mean, this has seriously been a conversation going on for, 30 years?
Should it take this long? Shouldn't this be a simple thing? Why do you have to have so many committees to meet to decide when to meet?
I went on this rant like a week ago about this postseason debacle that college football seems to have, and they're the only sport that seems to have it. And I know they're unique in terms of the number of teams they have compared to pro leagues. It's not an exact science. I know it's not as simple as just going the FCS route the FCS route and putting out a tournament. There'd be too many games, and there's just too much to do with there. But it is crazy how complicated this seems to be for this sport to figure out, and how everybody else seems to have their plans in order or have had those for a long time or know what to do. And college football just one week it's one thing, another week it's another thing. One week it's 8, another week it's 12. And, I'm cool with whatever. I do think there needs to be an expansion. So however we get to that, I'm good with that. I don't want to see Mike Leach's 64-team playoff. I don't want to see 16 teams even. I think it needs to be 8 or 12. So, yeah, I'm good with it on the surface, but definitely would like to hear more details.
I'm only good with it if they go to 12. If they do all this and they go back to 4, it's them.
I don't want to see 4 anymore.
It's them thumbing their nose and saying, no. We have a problem in America, and I'm not trying to go on a rant here, where if something is kind of hard or requires change, we don't want to do it. Hey, we should change to wind turbines. Well, sometimes they freeze up. Well, hell, let's not do it. We've got to have a 12-team playoff. Yeah, it's kind of confusing. It's hard. Let's not do it. Everything we're doing is difficult, right? So, yeah, figure it out. Make it better.
How did we cross the Rocky Mountains? Should we have just stopped because it was too hard back in the day? From the area code 4, well, actually from the 440, from the area code 440, fishing on a lake and listening to you guys today, Mike in Warren, Ohio, to say that 65 of the 129 FBS schools are eligible for the national championship based on conferences they play in is legalized discrimination. He is, of course, focusing on if you're a Power 5 team, you're in, and if you're not, good luck. That's kind of what he was talking about. Area code 419, my way too early text. This is from this morning. The college football playoff proposal, in my view, really don't change the process much other than adding teams. Sorry, I can't help myself. 4 first-round byes, no. First-round games to be played in the higher seed stadiums, no. Power 5 conference champions automatically qualify, yes. Highest-rated group of 5 team qualifies, yes. So that's kind of where we were going to go until the end of July with the Texas OU SEC story hit.
Yeah. I'm just kind of the one email you got there about the 65. I mean, I agree. If you're going to do it, you need to either have it be a completely open field. And I know there's going to be, some prejudice towards the bigger schools. And look, they're the ones that draw the eyeballs, and that's why most people are watching college football. So there does need to be some of that. But, I think if you're going to go the route of saying that basically, it's just these 65 that have a chance. So let's break this thing up like you've intended to be doing anyways. That was part of the motive in some ways. People thought with the SEC grabbing Texas and Oklahoma was the whole Super League thing that obviously hasn't come to fruition. But every sign is pointed to the bigger schools breaking away from the smaller schools, right? And I think now you're seeing more signs of that, if anything, with this playoff talk. Either it's open to everybody or it's an exclusive tournament for certain teams, and let's just call it what it is. But let's not keep going this song and dance routine of acting like everybody has a shot, and then, as soon as a Cincinnati gets in the party, we're like, oh, wait a second, what do you think you're doing over here? It's either everybody has a chance or only certain teams have a chance, and if it's going to be that way, then separate those teams and then let the others have a chance at something else.
Does Vanderbilt have a chance to get to the college football playoff?
If they were to go undefeated in the SEC, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would, let's say, Tulsa?
No. 0 chance.
Memphis?
No.
Slight chance.
Okay. Northwestern?
Yeah, if they won the Big Ten. Yeah.
Cal?
Yeah, they won the
difference is the power conference.
Yeah, exactly.
If you win the power conference, then you're going to be in. There's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter if you're Baylor back in the 2000s. You could be as bad as possible, but if you all of a sudden get good, you're going to be in that playoff because if you won the Big 12 or you went undefeated in the Big 12, that's going to get you in every single time. So you're kind of proving a point there by saying, hey, any team in these 5 conferences, could they have a chance to get in? Well, some smaller than others. Obviously a Texas, a Michigan, and Ohio State, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt before any Baylor or Purdue or someone along those lines. But no matter if you're in a power conference, you went out, you're going to the playoff. Whereas, if you're in CUSA or Mountain West or any of the other conferences, you not only have to go undefeated, and that might not even, you have to go undefeated, and that might not even be enough still. So, what are we doing here?
So
what's the point?
Why play conference championship games? We know why, because of money.
Right.
But why play them and have a win or a loss if they don't matter? If you lose and you could still get in, maybe because you're higher ranked or you're one of those that just is 11-0, 12-0, 13-0. But if you're going to play the conference championship game, that game has to matter, even if it's a team that is not ranked in the top 10. Mm-hmm. If they win the conference championship game, that has to mean something other than a damn trophy. It has to mean something. It's almost like this fear. Well, we want all the Power Fives to get in, and I know there's different options. Some are that and some aren't. We got all the Power Fives, but we still got to leave the door open in case we have an upset. That's part of the game. It's like the NFL playoffs. The college football big boys want to go to the NFL type style, right? The NFL, you have upsets in the first round. Tampa Bay was a wild card last year. Wild cards have won the Super Bowl before. The number one seeds have not played every year in the championship game.
The college football powers that be have to get over the fact that, or the idea, not the fact, the idea that it's bad when a big boy loses. It's good. The same thing, like, you celebrate the same thing in basketball and lament it in football.
Yeah.
It makes no, like, in basketball.
Go Wichita State, but oh my God, please don't beat Alabama in football and create chaos. Oh my God, how college football would die.
Yeah. But in basketball, you spend a month hoping for Oral Roberts to win a game.
Last year was a great example of that.
We love it. Oh, it's great. And then, but nobody, you know what? I've never once heard. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm lost in the woods here. But when Duke gets upset, I've never once heard someone like, "Oh my God, we're screwed now. Duke lost." No.
Oh my God, the TV ratings are going to be down this year.
No, college football needs to get over that and be like, "All right, well, this is how it is." If Cincinnati's your national champion, then Cincinnati's your national champion.
But give them a chance to be.
Yeah. The fact that they bemoan the idea of that even occurring is why it's silly. I mean, they get frustrated at even the idea of these teams being mentioned for a chance. You know, it's like they would rather just there not even be any questions. So again, it's like either break away and do what you want to do, so you don't have to fiddle with these other schools that you clearly don't respect. Or let's open it up. That's the two options to me. I would like to see Cincinnati go in there and take on Ohio State. Would the game end up being that great? Maybe not. I don't know. But I've seen Ohio State get blown out in big games too, and it didn't make me go, you know what? I don't want to watch Ohio State anymore. I'm certainly not going to go into the college football schedule as a fan of just college football, see the playoff lineup, and go, you know what? I typically watch the semifinals every year, but now that a non-Power 5's in it, I'm not watching that. I'm not going to watch some measly Memphis team play mighty Auburn. No, I'm going to be going, let's go freaking Memphis. Let's freaking go. I'm going to get fired up for that, just like I would for Loyola Marymount against, Tech Hoops or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know why college football bigwigs feel like the sport would die if more than 25 teams had an opportunity at this thing.
Yeah.
But that seems to be their MO and their, the way they operate.
Lines are open, 254-339-1122. Our first guest is not until Colonel Flowers at 3:45. A lot of you on the text line from the 419. I'm for 16. I understand 1 out of 16, 2 versus 15 could get ugly. Go back and take a look at the semifinal games the last few years, and there have been some lopsided scores. And Craig, you've mentioned that. From Matt
to the 16, though, real quick. I'm not necessarily opposed. I mean, obviously, anything beyond that, I would be adamantly against. 16's like really pushing it. I'm open-minded enough to see what that would look like, but my concern there is not so much the games themselves and like a 1 versus a 16. My concern is just how many games are we talking about here? Like, I mean, at some point, you do have to cut it off and say, like, hey, we can't be playing 18 games in a college football season.
I remember when there was concerns about going above 12 in the regular season.
But, I mean, now we truly are. We're at like 15 games. So, I mean, you can't you go any higher and you're basically nearing NFL territory for guys who aren't paid. So, I think that there does have to be some thought as to these being college athletes, even though there is more money coming in now, and the fact that you can't, really manage an 18-game schedule in college, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think that, and I've said this, I believe that the 12-team playoff is coming because you can't throw that out there and then pull it back. And one is, I would think that every conference, even the ACC, who knows now that they don't have a chance to get into it this year, that Wake Forest is lost. And even then, I'm sure the committee was going to try to find every which way, even had Wake Forest gone undefeated and won the ACC title game, to say, well, Wake Forest isn't that good because they're Wake Forest. But, I mean, they're trying to do it with Oklahoma right now, and that's a blue blood. So, I think
they're doing it to Oklahoma now, but they know Oklahoma has who they have in front of them that they can get
watch
back
watch the
mix.
jump after this weekend if they win. There's going to be a jump.
But even still, they have their mode of modus operandi. And I do think this, though. The other conferences that are not named the SEC have to go, well, we'd like to be in this playoff every year. regardless of the committee telling us no. And when you have 4 teams and sometimes 2 of them are from the SEC, you know, the Big Ten's a big, powerful conference. They've been left out of this thing before. The Big 12 has been left out of it. Everybody but the ACC and the SEC, and the ACC only because of the grace of Clemson and FSU the first year. So that's it.
All right, 254-339-1122. Lines open right now. Matt Smith goes, did you listen? The model that they're being presented is at least one team from each Power 5 plus the highest G5 team. No, we said that. That's exactly what we said. But what they're saying now is the conference champions. There has been a tweak to this a little bit. Well, I'm going to read some of the other quotes that Ross Dellinger put in his article at SI.com. Paul, back to the phone lines. Or not back to them, but start to the calls.
All right, Chris in Missouri, you're on the BetUS caller line. Thanks for your call.
Hey, guys. Happy Veterans Day to you guys.
You too.
I'm looking at the expansion, and they're trying to be the NFL so bad. But the NFL is not college football. What makes college football great was the bowl reward people, for if you won the Big 12, you got to go to the Fiesta Bowl or the Sugar Bowl. That's one trip that your fans could save up for all year and do it. I don't even know what the point of the bowl system is anymore to go into the Papa John's Bowl or something like that if you're expanding the playoffs. If the playoffs are the point, then what the hell are the other bowls for? I mean, if they were destination bowls for the smaller teams, like the 1 versus 16 seed plays in the Papa John's Bowl, and then if they win the next week or 2 weeks, you move up to the Gaylord Bowl up in Nashville or something. Maybe. And another thing is, if you were a high player and you saw potentially 3 or 4 more games on the schedule, you might just say, I'm not going to break my leg and risk my draft money going into a playoff that nobody really even cares about.
Thanks for the call.
I just think there's a lot of things they're not thinking about.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the call.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that already because of the Jalen Smith injury. People are starting to back away for some of these games as well. Some of the bowl games and getting themselves ready for the NFL draft.
Well, I would say I think the bowl system is going to be there for the teams that aren't in the playoff because it's a whole moneymaker and a part of the year where
guess what? It's a part of college football that's only really there because of money.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
another one.
So they're going to do that.
They have a huge lobby. Now, don't think they aren't pounding the dirt right now.
Not only that, but bowl games are important to teams that get in them because they get 15 extra practices. So that's almost more to it than anything else. Especially now when if you have your true freshmen, if they haven't played their 4 games, they can play in that bowl game and all the different things that come with it. So those will still be there. I don't think that they'll play, if they're at 12 teams, they're going to have to play the first round at home sites because you can't ask potentially fans to go to 3 separate neutral site games 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, but you're asking them still to go to at least 2 and maybe even 3. I mean, if you're not the home team, right, then you're going on 3. And look, I know people with plenty of money that travel to plenty of games, they're not going to be able to swing 3 different games in 3 different destinations in like a month's time. There's no way. And, like a fan base the size of Baylor's, no chance. No chance they could fill multiple games with, a playoff run. So, yeah, that's a curious part of the puzzle is how they would – because when the playoff first started, I remember Baylor was right in the mix with TCU at the time, and I remember a former player at Texas who had talked to some bowl representative people. This was like the first or second year of the playoff. And I remember him walking away from that conversation and saying, like, you guys realize that, like, most of these schools have absolutely no shot, right? And we're like, what are you talking about? He's like, let's start with one of those bowl guys. Like, it's all about who can travel, who can show up and fill the stands. And he's like, Baylor, they're just not going to be able to travel well enough, to get the extra consideration. Now, I don't think it came down, playoff decisions to simply the bigger school, in terms of like who will fill seats, but that does eventually come into it. And if you're going to go to an expanded playoff, that will have to come into it because you're not going to put an empty stadium on TV. So, yeah, I mean, they need to think about logistically, like how many schools could actually swing that and be able to carry that crowd with them wherever they go, or if they have sites lined up where they feel like, hey, no matter who we throw out here, people are going to show up and sell it out. But, yeah, that's another part of this that is interesting to look at. I hate that, with the playoff, like everything else has become as though it's meaningless. Like, do you realize how, like, we're just talking about bowl games like they're just nothing. And look, I think a lot of bowl games are nothing. A lot of bowl games are just there for money and ESPN to fill TV slots. There's no doubt about that. Like the Boca Raton Bowl. I mean, come on. Like, what are we really doing? But there's a lot of them that are worthwhile, and you get a lot out of it. And you get those extra practices. You get that little bump in recruiting to say, like, hey, we got to a bowl game this year. I don't want that to go away. But it does seem that college football has taken a sport where every week mattered. For the longest, every week mattered. And one loss, and like you were done unless some other things happened. This sport where you had to watch every single week, and now they're basically turning into a sport where you really don't need to watch much at all, and you can just tune into that last playoff show and know everything that's going on and probably predict 3 of the 4 teams. Like, it's become so predictable, and it's become to where so much of what used to matter is just getting thrown to the wayside and doesn't seem to matter because all that matters is the playoff and these 4 teams. So I don't think that's good for the sport, in my opinion.
Bowl games now happen, and I don't even know they're being played.
Oh, yeah, there's so many.
There are so many of them. It used to be something that, and again, this is when I was younger, that I would wait for that stretch of a couple of weeks or two.
Yeah, but you
and one of the
didn't
other
have
things,
so many.
No, that's what I'm saying. There was like, I don't know, there might have been 20, 25, and maybe there was 17, but I remember wanting to watch as many of them as possible. Now there are 3 or 4 have been played during the day, and I didn't even know they were being played. Now, Here's a couple more of the text from the 469. Does it feel like the NCAA is afraid of change? Because numbers are down before COVID. Numbers were down before COVID, so they are making sure the big guys are taken care of.
No, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think the NCAA is scared of change. I just don't think they ever wanted to change. I think that they like their little system that they had where they basically controlled every piece of the pie and everything, including the athletes, and now they no longer control a whole lot of that. And really, I don't know what they do control other than just setting up championship events, which even they couldn't do that right last year. So, I don't know that I agree with that all the way. I just think it's what they're doing is just too little too late. I mean, I think
as always,
that's ultimately what it comes down to for me is it's not so much them wanting something in particular. It's just that they lost their grip and they thought they would always have that grip and they lost it and they don't know what to do. It's like a person with their head cut off just running around. That's what the NCAA strikes me as right now, trying to save face.
440, and this is something that makes so much sense. I wish I would have said it, even though I'm the one that just said, hey, there was a time when going to past 13 games, 13-0 was usually whoever ran the table and won a national title, and that's when they added an extra regular season game. Why is it okay for Youngstown State to play 16 games during their run to the FCS national title 5 years ago, but Ohio State and the rest of the FBS can't? It's just one more hypocritical piece of garbage. That's from the 440. Sam Houston State, North Dakota State, they're not only doing it 1 year, they're having to do it year after year after year, and they get it done. They get all those games in. Now, I don't know what their records are at the end of the regular season, and they don't have conference championship games like in the Southland or other conferences, do they? I don't think so, like they have with some. So there's one less game, but still, yeah, I don't have to go look up the North Dakota State record or Sam Houston State's record.
Well, it's not everybody playing 6. Sometimes you hear that
2 teams that are playing it.
Yeah, sometimes you hear that. That's the excuse for that. Well, we don't want people playing 16 games. Okay, so the 2 teams in the last game will, and the 4 teams before them will play 15. But you have teams play 14 right now. So what's really the difference other than the money? And they all care about money. The money you're going to be making. It's one of those things. They're now just admitting that they want to figure it out. Look, the Big Ten for a long time was run by a man named Jim Delaney. Jim Delaney was a very powerful conference commissioner. He was very against the playoff because he just didn't see the benefit in it, and he knew that he could funnel all the money he could towards the Big Ten. And then in his mind, if you have a playoff, then you're sharing money as opposed to this racket that you have. This racket's good. They're like, hey, we've got this money coming in. We don't want to mess it up. Well, I mean, there's more. I mean, the playoff has been more. Now they want to expand it because it's more. The only way that you can make more money off the playoff is to put more teams and more TV games in the playoff. And ultimately, I would think that your television network partners, chiefly ESPN, want more games of value, it'll happen.
LSU played 15 games 2 years ago. Alabama played 13 because they only played conference games, no non-conference games until the playoffs. So they played 15. So we're on the edge of that.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, they're on the edge of that. Yeah. My whole point in saying, as far as the game conversation is, that's coming. That argument is coming. There's going to be an argument of how many games they're playing because guess what? The athletes are going to look at this. And what's the first thing we're going to hear? It's going to be the athletes going, oh, really? We're playing an expanded playoff? well, what piece of the pie is ours now? That's what's coming if they do that. And I think that's why they're probably as much trying to figure this out. At least I would hope that those who are trying to figure this out are also taking into account, like, you do realize there are going to be repercussions to more of this. So that's kind of where I was coming from. And, yeah, it's only one game off and only for a couple of teams, so it's not a big deal. I'm just saying you know that argument's going to be put out
It's
there.
an argument they'll put out there because they want to still act like you think they are still worried about the education. From Hatter 12 Gaming, 2019 North Dakota State played 12 regular season games, 4 playoff games, went 16-0. Last year, or earlier this year, Sam Houston State, of course, it was a little bit of a minimized schedule because their season was pushed into the early spring. Yeah. One more. This is from the text, the 804. 12-team playoff is only going to benefit the Blue Bloods. If the committee is selecting the wild card teams, how much would you bet that seeds 9 through 12 will go without question? He mentions Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, even when they have a down year with a couple of losses. If you're going to do this, winning a conference championship, even if you have a team that's 8-4 that somehow wins a division because that division is down and they beat an unbeaten number 1 ranked team, the number 1 ranked team can still get in the playoff. They can still get back in it. But the team that wins that conference championship must be given more than just a trophy. To the calls, 254-339-1122.
All right, I think this is Josh in Oklahoma, but the robot screener might have messed you up. So let's go to Oklahoma and either Josh or Michael.
Hey, but I called you guys. My phone's down up here in the rainy state of Washington. But once again, you guys are all over it, talking good stuff, sensible stuff. And I finally convinced my girlfriend to watch the college football charlatan show, and she was just like heckled about it because she was like really keen on, watching their beady eyes and their silvery tongues fly out. And, the second week, it wasn't as bad, but she thought, wow, that's just such an incredible show. She thought they were all plastic and fake, so we had to turn it off. But for Senior Smoke, I just want to let you know that be uplifted on the call on Nebraska. I'm all in favor of that. This cancel culture of letting coaches go is a bunch of hogwash. You guys are Nebraska, one of my teams. You guys aren't far off, especially for the defense. So be uplifted about it. I'm really glad to see that the Trev Alberts and those people have a definite sensibility about them. But going into OU Baylor, I'm really concerned about the secondary rotation, especially the linebacker play for Baylor. Just like Mr. Cat was saying 3 or 4 weeks ago, Texas couldn't be in tune to know what Caleb Williams was going to bring in a buzzsaw, and that's pretty much what happened to Baylor. But I got OU 41-27. If OU brings their game, Lincoln Riley is going to take 4 defenses in 4 weeks, dissect them, and throw them away and roll on. But I got a question for the Flaming Trailer Park down in Austin. You guys heard the call on the bus and all that stuff. Yeah. I just want to know from you, do you guys agree with that approach, or do you think you guys will handle that different? And if you would handle it different, how would you go about it? Y'all have a very good day.
Thank you.
Good luck down in there Saturday.
Thanks for the call in Washington. Appreciate that.
We played the edited version of the call the other day, and I don't think you can. I think you have to save that kind of approach, like what he did. You can't do that every time. You got to wait for it. You got to make it count.
It's like clearing the buffet in a clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to pick your spots. But I think a 4-game losing streak when guys are walking out of the locker room goofing off and laughing, I think that's your spot, Bo Davis. I think now if Bo Davis shows up on Monday and does it again, and then does it again on Tuesday and all that, then it just becomes a guy yelling to yell. But I'm fine with his approach as long as he's not doing it all the time. If he's doing it all the time, then he's got a problem. And I don't think Bo Davis has a problem. I think he did what he had to do.
Craig?
Well, I think without context, it's hard to judge what he is reacting to. So, if they were sitting there goofing off and laughing after getting their heads kicked in by Iowa State and losing their 4th straight, then you know what? I'd erupt too. I'd be mad too. Why am I putting in all this time and these guys obviously don't care? You can see where that would set somebody off. And look, his job's on the line. He's got to worry about his job. He's got to worry about winning, and to be that frustrated, I could see it. I could see somebody erupting, especially if the players were doing something to set him off, which is how it seemed. But yeah, I don't think it's something that. So I didn't have a problem with it from that regard. If it was randomly out of nowhere, like they were just sitting there quietly and he got on the bus and started yelling, that's absolutely off. That's out of bounds on his part. But I don't think that was the case. So I think it's fine, but he definitely can't do it again and again and again because, at that point it loses all meaning. So we'll see if it matters this weekend. I'm not sure that it will, but at least somebody's got a fire down there right now.
Okay. I probably don't need to be the one that responds. Both of you have seen me lose my mind. I have a temper. I do. Most of the time it's over wasted time. And then sometimes it's over mistakes that could be prevented if, in fact, we were doing what we should do in the first place. That includes me. I can't sit there and scold Bo Davis because I have been Bo Davis. I have a quick trigger. I try to work on it. I'm not good at it. So, maybe someone said something sarcastic. Maybe the body language was bad. I don't know. I do know this, that most of the time when someone like Bo Davis or David Smoak loses their and loses their mind, they might get things off their chest, but eventually at some point, no matter if you're right for what you're saying, you don't feel very good about it pretty soon. So I don't know
and it's all about
the
timing and whether or not it impacted them at all. Because, there's somebody that can fly off the handle, lose their temper, and, I might just completely blank it out and not respond because of the situation. So I don't know what it was, that situation exactly with those players. Hopefully that was a moment where if they were goofing off and he went to town like that it got through to some of them because clearly he felt it needed to. But again, if he just stumbled on the bus and was just yelling because they lost, that would be something else entirely. That's not what that situation seemed like, so I'm okay with that. Oklahoma, your prediction, I think that could very well be the outcome. I'm very curious about this game because Caleb Williams has been fantastic, but Baylor's one of the better teams Oklahoma's played here as of late, and Oklahoma's one of the better teams that Baylor's played as of late. I think Baylor at their best, which we've seen more at home than we've seen on the road and certainly didn't see last week in Fort Worth, they can beat Oklahoma with their style of play. Am I banking on it? No. They have to play a near-perfect, clean game. Gary Bohannon can't have missed throws and bad interceptions. The defense can't give up 500 yards passing to Caleb Williams, and they're going to have to find a way to get to him. I don't know if they're going to be able to. I think they can. But, obviously Oklahoma will have a say in that, but Baylor can win this game Saturday.
Yeah, when they get there, they got to finish. That's why they didn't do it against Chandler Morris. If you hit him, you got to bring him down.
Oh, yeah, you got to take the right angles and get that. That was part of also the issue. One of the other things about this week, and this is me, this is coming from me. I think it's time for the fan base to focus in on Saturday's game with Oklahoma instead of some of the extracurricular stuff that's been going on this week. There's a game, and I texted Weston Rogers, who's a part of the site. He covers college football recruiting. I've known him forever, back when he's still young. I said, hey, can I ask you a question? Is Baylor playing Oklahoma for a chance to win the game and get right smack back into the Big 12 championship game? He said, no. And I don't think he minds me. He said, oh, my God, no. Joey's gone, Blanchard's gone, and the football program is no longer going to be in existence after this week. I kind of get that as some of the things that are being said out there.
You should have seen my DMs, man. I wish people would focus on Oklahoma, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Saturday at 11 o'clock is a game that Baylor can jump right back in everything. Not that they haven't had a good run, but I think it's time to stop worrying about all that extracurricular stuff, which I understand is also message board talk, and that's fine. But the game is being played on Saturday.
And look, I got to say I got a DM from somebody who was, I don't know if I've ever even interacted with him before. In our conversation about Joey McGuire's comments and all that, I said that, it's true what he said about there's been games where there's more red and black than there were green and gold. I was remembering one game in particular. It was like when I first got here. And there wasn't a whole bunch of buzz around Scott Drew and the men's basketball team. It was like they were okay, they were fine, whatever. And I remember that game. My memory of that game is red and black fans. Now, were there more green and gold fans there? There probably was, and I was told that there was. But guess what? That's not my memory. My memory is how loud Tech fans were. And it was like maybe the second basketball game I've gone to when I first got here. So we're going on like 8-9 years now at this point. So that was my memory. And that's what I fell back on yesterday when talking about it, when I was like, it's true. I had somebody so angry calling me a liar over and over again. It was my memory. It was my memory. If I was wrong, I have never, ever come on this show and been afraid to admit when I was wrong. I've never, ever tried to just I'm going to troll this person. I'm going to troll this fan base. I mean, for Baylor fans to feel like, there was some ill will or something like that. Look, Joey McGuire made his comments. He made his comments. I was wrong in my memory of one particular thing that he said. But yeah, there's way more talk about that than there is about Oklahoma. So I don't think that really bodes well for Saturday. Luckily, the team's, not the ones that's, seeming to react to it. It's just the fans. But yeah, I mean, here we are. It's Thursday?
Yeah.
And we're still talking about Joey McGuire, and we're talking about James Blanchard, and we're sulking, and I'm sure I'll get a DM of somebody, why are you beating up on the Baylor fan base? And that's fine. But I'll admit that I was wrong on that, but that was my memory. And, I'll still stick with the fact that, if you want to get mad at his comments, get mad at his comments. By all means, get mad at his comments. I mean, that should fire people up.
I had somebody threaten to cancel their subscription to SicEm365.com because they wanted to know if that paid our salaries. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
We pay our salaries. We bring in the revenue, and I've talked to the partners about the comment that was sent to me. We handle that. And the great audience we have on YouTube, which is nationwide.
I've been here longer than everybody in this room. And I can tell you that from day one when I got here and the men's basketball team had half of their season taken away because of the sanctions. From that point on, every time I've heard Scott Drew talk to the fans, he has nearly begged them.
No, he has begged.
He's begged people to come out to the games. Please come to the games. I've heard him say it again and again. It's proven that the louder the crowd, the better the home team does. Over and over and over again for years. And the guy has been, and over and over again, unless it's Kansas or Texas or a good Tech team, the stadium's not really full for men's basketball teams. And now they're a national champion. And Joey McGuire pointing out that simple fact that everyone knew and that Scott Drew even talks about, it was nothing to do with you. It was just pandering to his new fan base.
Well,
and that's all it was.
Listen.
And so,
and I saw he put out a tweet today thanking Baylor fans, and I couldn't help but think, Joey, that's a little too late. I think he kind of burned that bridge already, to be perfectly honest with you, with that comment. And
Armstrong, do you have that? You have that note?
And that's unfortunate because I do like Joey McGuire, but I think that, probably got a bit excited. He's riling up his – and that's the thing, too, is I read his comments, and I'm not going –
here it is right here.
How dare he personally attack me as a Baylor? No, I'm reading him yeah, that's what I would do if I was a Tech head coach. Because that's how I take it. I'm not looking at it like it's a personal shot at me, but then again, I'm not a Baylor fan. So if you want to take it that way, that's fine. But he said what he said, and then he put up his apology today, and I do think it's too little too late. I do think the exit is a bit awkward and strange. I do think it's weird that in less than a month's time, he's going to be helping a team prepare for the team that he was just on. I do think it's weird that, he's coaching against TCU on Saturday. They lose. Defense wasn't particularly good, especially, which is the side of the ball that he's on. And, all of a sudden their recruits are, got a recruit flipping days later. I think all that's weird and awkward, but I know it's also part of the game. But, yeah, you have every right to be upset and go ahead and burn that bridge if you want to. He's the enemy now. He's a rival now if you're a Baylor fan, but I will always respect what he did in Waco.
When we come back, it's Veterans Day. Colonel Craig Flowers will join us. He's a motivational speaker. We'll look back at all of what this means for those who have served. 4 o'clock, we'll have, I think we're open at 4. Max Olson is going to be at 5:15 today. He's normally at 4. And much more to get to, including your calls back again at 4 o'clock, 254-339-1122. And one thing that I can always say about what we do, if you want to contact us, I even gave some of you my phone number just to call me, because typing up some long back and forth thing is fine. I'll do that too. But we're very accessible. And thanks for giving us your opinion, but also understand we can have ours as well. That's what we do. This is SicEm 365 Radio and 365 Sports. All right, Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. Man, I need a cigar. I'd love to smoke a cigar. Macanudo, Ashton, Arturo Fuente, and just enjoy. And they have them in their 48-foot walk-in humidor. Dozens and dozens of boxes of the best cigars in the world inside their humidor, including whatever you want. For example, my favorite, Rocky Patel Torpedo Edge Light. And yet again, I do like Ashton and Macanudo, the Churchill length. On top of that, they have many others. Cohiba, Padron, big-time names, right? And then there is Vita Dreams. It's gummy bears. It's a bottle. Like, don't they like 30 or 60 in a bottle? It's gummies. You put one in your mouth maybe an hour or two before you want to go to sleep, and you fall asleep very quietly. And oh, by the way, maybe save 30, 45 minutes to an hour of tossing and turning. You wake up the next day, you are rested. Vita Dreams available. And also on top of that, they do have, if you want, CBD products elsewhere. And then even THC Delta 8 is available. It's Don Shumador and Coffee Beans. Tell Cheyenne, Ashley, and Carol Smokey sent you in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
When it comes to me and my money, I know the way it should be. I need a partner I can count on. That's Genco and me.
Refinance your vehicle today at Genco with rates as low as 1.69% for 48 months and have 90 days of no payments. Refinancing can lower your payment, so you pay less for your car. Apply online and get an additional 0.1% off our already low rate. Thank you, Genco. And don't forget, your vote counts. Vote today for your local school to win $1,500 with Genco's School Spirit Competition. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
They're people I trust. They treat me like family. My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's the Black Friday sales event going on now. Come see the beautiful, elegant third-row seat Jeep Grand Cherokee L in stock at Allen Samuels. The 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or Limited has total values of $3,500 or 0% for 72 months going on now and no payments for 90 days. First responders get an extra $500 cash. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Call us on the BetUS hotline, 254-339-1122.
It is Veterans Day. Colonel Craig Flowers will join us momentarily, native of Texan, of Texas. He's been in the U.S. Army, decades overseas, 3 years in the Kingdom of Morocco as well. He spent his final assignment, military assignment at West Point, and he is a motivational speaker. I've heard from him. He's on the horn in Austin quite a bit with those guys, and Colonel Craig Flowers joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Craig, Paul, David Smoak. Colonel, how you doing? How's the day going with you today?
It's going great, Smoke Show. I'm reporting today from across the Red River. It's wedding week. We've got 3 daughters, and of course, the wedding is Saturday. And, the kickoff is at 11 a.m. right there, and we're going to be taking photos. It's just one of those things. I don't know how. I told the other 2 daughters that you can get married, of course, but come on, we got to get off the fall schedule.
I bet that went over like a brick, a lead brick. What does Veterans Day, other than the obvious, mean to you?
Well, I appreciate that question, Smokey. I never was a Boy Scout. Not that you have to be one to be in the Army. I didn't play Army. I didn't dream of playing Army. I knew that my father, who played baseball at Trinity University with Jerry Grody, had served in the Army. I knew that my grandfather had. And when I was 18 years old, I just wanted to play baseball in the Southwest Conference. And so I had to figure out a way to do that. And I visited your great campus when I was 17, 18, and ended up playing baseball at Ranger Junior College for a year, and then played at TCU during the 80s. So I was able to get in the Southwest Conference, but I didn't know anything about the Army. I just knew that it was something that was kind of special, and very few people did it. Less than 0.5% served on active duty, and graduated from TCU there, and went into the Army as a second lieutenant, and didn't have any intention of making the Army a career. Was going to do 4 years and get out and go do some other stuff, be a baseball coach, which I later had the opportunity to do up at West Point. I was assistant baseball coach in 2005, and I'm required by law to tell you that we swept Navy that year. And
ouch!
But I did find a little niche there that reminded me a lot of playing Division I sports, and it was this team concept, this idea of being part of a team. And thankfully, I had the privilege of serving alongside some extraordinary special operators, one of which is my best friend here, and a retired Green Beret. We met when we were young captains at Fort Leavenworth, and Pablo Escobar had put a bounty on his head and pulled him out of Bogota, Colombia, and he ended up sitting next to me, and we became lifelong friends. He was a hockey player out of Boston College. And so, as I reflect on Veterans Day, very different than Memorial Day, I just think that, I think everybody at some level wonders. I know Boone Pickens did. I got to spend a lot of time with him. Wonders if they, would have served in the military. And some of us had that itch that we just kind of had to scratch for one reason or another. And I tell you, it was a privilege. It was a privilege to do it. I would do it again. I'm glad that it's over. I miss the brothers and sisters that I served alongside, but they're very much like my old teammates at TCU. And when I take, stage and talk to groups, whether it's, Michael Dell's senior staff or football coaching staff, and sometimes Coach Grant Taff and I will be on the stage together. Sometimes I get the privilege to open up for him. I kind of look across there and think, we're trying to train a group of young people here, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sometimes to sacrifice themselves to win. And that's what we did in the military. Douglas MacArthur, who was the captain of both his football and baseball teams at West Point, he said, "On the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that on other days, on other fields, will bear the fruits of victory." And having had the privilege of serving in the Army and also playing sports in college, I consider myself very, very fortunate, and it was a privilege to serve. Right before I got on the phone with you, I received a text from Alejandro Villanueva. Who's that? Well, he's 6'10". He played split end for the Army Black Knights. He's the biggest man to have ever graduated from Ranger School. He had several tours of combat over in Afghanistan, and now he wears number 78, and tonight will be protecting the blind side of the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether that's Big Ben or his backup. So, I think about what Alejandro Villanueva, did. Here's a guy that, just loved to bass fish and was going to be a receiver. Now he's playing in the NFL, and I'm sure he'll be the one carrying the flag out tonight. It's a special day. Appreciate all the texts and calls that I get. I don't really know how to respond to them, so I typically just respond with an emoji fist bump and an American flag because we just did our job.
I don't want to get off the Veterans Day topic too far, but I've got to rewind to something you said. You have a friend that Pablo Escobar put a bounty on his head. I mean, look, I've been to a lot of parties, but that's a story topper for all story toppers.
It's a great story. I'm sitting at Fort Leavenworth as a young captain. I'm about to go into a special program myself, and I'm sitting there. I've got to spend about 90 days at Fort Leavenworth, and it's 12 captains in each classroom. There's 10 of us or 11 of us sitting in there, and the last guy to walk in, got a little longer hair, about my size, kind of a square-jawed, broad shoulder. He's a little more fit than I am, and he ends up sitting right next to me, and I kind of look at him. He looks like he's lost. He leans over and asks if he can borrow a few uniforms until his get shipped to him. I asked, I said, sure. I said, hey, and he asked me, he said, what is this course? I told him what it was, and he said, okay. So I just got in last night, again, from Boston College. He went to school with Doug Flutie, and he said, yeah. So I get the story that here he is, a pale-skinned, blue-eyed guy with a Boston accent who's fluent in Spanish, and he's leading an A-team of Green Berets over in Bogota, taking care of business. And I guess his taking care of business, he was just doing a little too well. Pablo got irritated, put a bounty on his head, and the Pentagon pulled him out and said, hey, you got to cool off for a little bit. And so he ended up next to me, and I set him up on a blind date with his wife, and they've been married for 25 years with 3 boys.
Thanks for that story, man. I'm glad you followed up too, Paul.
I just had to. I mean, that's not something you hear that often. That this guy had from Pablo Escobar. Wow.
Yeah, Colonel Flowers, I would think you do motivational speaking engagements and much. And by the way, those you can look them up online and it's there. You're on the radio show. You've been with us. This is your second or third appearance with us as well. Motivational speaking. What is the trick to that? Other than I'm sure you can command a room because of what you've commanded in your life, but what's the trick to that, making sure people are actually listening to you?
Well, it's a very simple formula, and I'm not a master of the obvious at all, but you've got to know your audience, you've got to care for your audience, not coddle, and then you can challenge your audience in that order. That's the formula: know, care, and challenge. And quite frankly, that's how the most elite teams on the planet behave. That's how you all are going to have to behave at 11 a.m. on Saturday in order to beat the Sooners. You've got to know one another like no other, care for one another like no other, and that means holding one another accountable. Therefore, because we know and care, we can challenge one another. And that formula is very specific to what can be described as the most elite teams on the planet, which only comprise about 4% of teams. And how they assess, select, and develop, i.e. recruit and develop, how those elite special operations teams select members to join them is pretty precise. And they ask themselves 3 questions. Can they do it? Do they have enough talent to do it? Are they capable? Will they do it? Do they have enough discipline to do it? And then the last question is the most important. Will others do it with them? And if they ever are looking at someone that can do it, that will do it, but others won't do it with them, well, they just simply cannot be a part of the most elite teams on the planet. Because you've got to have all 3. They must be able to do it, they must have the discipline to do it, and others must be willing to do it with them. And that's the same approach that college football coaches, that's what, Dave Aranda's got to figure out as he continues to build on an extraordinary program. By the way, you guys are really good. I don't know how the Horned Frogs won that one, but they shouldn't have. But those 3 questions, can they do it? Will they do it? Will others do it with them? Is a great formula for assessing, selecting, and developing, i.e. recruiting people to be part of your team, whether you're in business, whether you're in the military, or whether you're trying to put together an athletics team.
Well, Colonel Flowers, I think part of the thing you left out, but you can tell, is to be a successful motivational speaker, you have to be sincere, and you are very sincere in your message and your mission, and that just comes across. I wanted to tell you that.
Well, I appreciate that very much. You know, if I were to ambush the three of you all there and say, listen, what's your definition of leadership? Most would respond with some form of cliches. To include do what's right when nobody's looking, choose the harder right over the easier wrong, which, by the way, comes from the West Point cadet prayer. And you might feel some other ideas of leadership, lead by example, that sort of thing. But in its truest sense, in its truest definition, leadership is nothing more than service to a cause. You pick the cause, and if you authentically, relentlessly, and selflessly serve that cause, you're leading. You don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to be Alejandro Villanueva, 6'10", 300 and whatever he is. You can be an introvert. You can be the smallest in stature with the shyest of personalities. But if you are authentically, relentlessly, and selflessly serving a cause, you are leading. And typically we have 6 causes in our lives: our faith, our family, our friends, our community, our team, and the last one that we often forget is ourselves. How do we answer the bell every day? And those elite members of elite teams, they don't hit the snooze button. When the snooze button comes off, they don't have the intention of getting up. Their intentions don't matter. The alarm goes off, they put their feet on the ground, they answer the bell, and they get to work. Intentions don't matter. Actions are what matter. And serving a cause is leading.
Colonel Flowers, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it so much. Thank you for serving our country, what you also represent. We appreciate it. Enjoy the wedding, and yes, get the message across. Weddings do not happen during football season.
It's unbelievable, Smokey. I've been telling them this for years, but I think that the virus is what put us into this great. I mean, and it's opening weekend of deer season too. I mean, I'm supposed to be on an organic protein harvest. That's what we say in Austin. I'm supposed to be out there in a deer stand, and here I am, trying to figure out if I'm going to wear a cummerbund or not. So I appreciate
go
you. Hey, Smoak, you're doing a good job as a dad there. I'm sure I'm proud of Craigo and love listening to y'all. And boy, you guys are leading the way down there in Waco, and you've got a great city there that's developing every day. And,
yep.
And good luck to you this Saturday.
Thank you very much, Colonel Craig Flowers. And I hope you enjoyed that segment, Veterans Day. You know how much we love to honor and remember the military, all of us involved in that in many different ways. Paul, Catalina, Craig Smoak, and David Smoak, and we appreciate his time. I'm going to read a couple of these on the chat room. From Simon 2077, we have a lot of you who have served this country. So how many of us on here are veterans? Served aboard the USS Cascade AD-16 and the USS Canopus AS-34 back in the 70s. Yep, I'm an old turd. Here's from Eric. Served in Fort Leonard, Wood, Missouri. 20 years in Air Force. Chris, let's see here. There's one about somebody who was on a boat that capsized. It was my pleasure to serve. No greater for me than the fighting to defend our homeland. Here's from Daniel. My dad was in the Navy. My uncle was in the Army. My ex-brother-in-law was in the Marines. I'm proud of all of them. I'm proud of all who served as well. Anyone go to sea in a massive storm at sea? This is from Simon. Our ship of a crew of 650 about capsized. We were hit broadside with our port side main deck totally underwater, ready to flip. Something I'll never forget.
Man.
Golly, that.
I'm not built for that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see a couple more. There's a lot of you. There's a lot of you whose fathers served. From Chris pulling out of Afghanistan, those who were hurt will be hurting with the way we left. There's a couple of messages about that. From JG, motivational speaking. Don't use a sketch pad and dry erase markers on stage with kindergarten handwriting. Teo Lopez. I'm not sure. Teo Lopez. Not sure exactly what that is. But that's a lot of you. Thank you, a lot of you who have responded. My dad was career Air Force as an air traffic controller from Paula. He's in heaven now, but always so proud of his service. My father was a combat veteran with U.S. Army, Air Force in the South Pacific Campaign, S. Michael DeHart. And that's it. So we appreciate Colonel Flowers for being a part of the show. All right, we're open in the 4 o'clock hour to start. Max Olson, normally at 4, will be at 5:15. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina. We have Armstrong here. Jack is here. Hayden is here. And intern Pearson is here. I think that's the first time I've actually remembered the intern's name the first time. And we appreciate you being here. 254-339-1122. Text and phone calls. Chat room next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, 1943. I could just stop right there. That's amazing. Think about that. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, locations in Waco and Bryant, been in business since 1943, and they're doing well. Oh, yeah, like a lot of businesses, the distribution shut down in certain ways. That didn't help, but they are still thriving. And they're building a brand new facility in Waco. They have metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe and steel, the structural standard. Sheet and expanded metal, culverts and gates, H braces and fence posts, purlin, tubing, beams and weld plates, structural steel, structural pipe. They're amazing. Since 1943, Pioneer Boys finds what you need when it comes to building. They'll help you understand all of what it takes about a metal building. They'll help you find a contractor so you don't have one that messes everything up and delays and delays and delays and costs too much. That's what they do. They want you to buy their product, but they want you to come back and do it again and again. And that's how you are, still around since 1943, despite the ups and downs of the world and economy. PioneerBoys.com.
It's Baylor football season, and as always, Berg Colgin Ford supports the green and gold. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgin Ford. It's time for team celebrations and BU touchdowns. Berg Colgin Ford is your home team when it comes to trucks and tailgates. Ford has the perfect truck for you to host a top-ranked tailgate party. Here's to a winning season for our hometown Bears. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Buying made simple at BK Ford. Sick 'em Bears.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
So recently, a northern transplant in our fair city came in to pick up outfitters for the first time, and he was starstruck. He told us that truck accessories were not needed in Illinois. I know, pick your jaw up off the ground. An entire state full of trucks driving around completely nude. Then he said he saw the light when he moved to Texas and found that in Texas, truck accessories were a necessity. I don't know about a necessity, but Texans have a whole different attitude about their trucks, and they give them their rightful place as a family member. I mean, what exactly do you use your truck for if you're not going to put anything on it? All this is a warning for the good people of Central Texas to stay diligent. Don't let your truck look like it came from up north. Put something on that truck, for goodness sakes. A bumper, a lift kit, some running boards. At Pickup Outfitters, we know what your truck needs. So come and see us at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or check us out on the web at createacommotion.com.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma. And they have to come here. They're used to lights. They're used to water in their mouth. They're used to experience. They already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation. Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
All right, here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Mickey Spagnola will join us at the bottom of the hour. Cowboys, you had Dak with that cap that was a lot worse than I thought it was when he threw that touchdown to beat Minnesota. And but now Randy Gregory's out long term, and so that will be something we'll talk with him about a little bit later on as well. All right, so we've discussed the college football playoff, and many of you have given your opinion, and we appreciate that. We will open the lines back now. Jump on with us. We want to hear from you. 254-339-1122. 254-339-1122. Anything in particular, Craig, you want them to ask or discuss along with the callers, and we'll take as many as we can for the next 25 minutes.
No, not really. I mean, no, not off the top of my head. There's tons of storylines in college football right now. If you want to talk Baylor, Oklahoma, let's go. You want to talk the Big 12 race, we can do that too. I mean, obviously after this weekend, there's going to be some clarity because either Baylor remains in the mix or they're out. They're done if they lose to Oklahoma. They'll have 3 Big 12 losses. They'll get jumped by Iowa State most likely, and they will have little to no shot at a Big 12 title game appearance. So it would be a 3-team race. If they beat Oklahoma, then it's a 4-team race still. And, you still got Iowa State, Oklahoma that will be coming up, and Bedlam coming up. And, there's a couple of different directions it can go based on that Baylor-Oklahoma outcome alone. But, I mean, there's plenty to talk about. I'm sure there's plenty of people who got different things on their minds. So if you got it, throw it out there. And, let's go.
All right, 254-339-1122. Villanueva now is playing for Baltimore. He had mentioned Pittsburgh playing for Baltimore, protecting Lamar Jackson. Paul?
All right, let's go back to the calls on the BetUS caller line. And Steve, thanks for holding. Steve in Florida, thanks for your call.
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing today?
We're doing well. Go ahead, buddy. Thank you.
Hi, man. Smokey knows this. Steve Stutzman here in Orlando, Florida, heading to Waco this weekend.
Steve Stutzman, former Dangerfield star, Baylor tight end, and his son, it's Danny, right, is playing for Oklahoma. Is that right?
It seems to be a relevant topic this week,
So where do you draw the line?
No, he has not drawn. He's Oklahoma.
He's Oklahoma.
Yeah. I'm going to answer that for you.
Guy, I'll make it clear. I root for Baylor every week except for this week. Blood's a little thicker than water, but
I get it.
It's going to be fun coming home. That's going to be for sure.
So what was that like? I know you. I covered you. I was there, I think, even when you signed with Baylor on your national signing day at your house. And, I mean, man, you were fantastic, a part of a dynasty. What was it like to watch your son go through that?
You know what? It's kind of surreal. You try to help him as much as you can and yet let him be his own player, his own man, and burn his own path. So I always made it a point that I was always there every step of the way, but I definitely wasn't going to be in his, let him stumble over me. If I was on the football team, I was coaching another position. I never directly coached him, and I just wanted to watch. And man, it was a fun ride. I'll tell you that.
Steve Stutzman, former tight end at Baylor, also at Dangerfield, his son, and he missed part of the season, and then it started to make an impact. Tell us about the recruitment to Oklahoma. Obviously, that's a place a lot of people would like to go, but he had some other options as well.
Yeah, he did, David. Baylor was in there for a while, and it was really unfortunate because of the COVID year, and NCAA just really clamped down on recruiting. I mean, you could not go to campus even on your own dime and talk to a coach. The only thing you do is Zoom and telephone calls. So that's basically his, his life was like during COVID. It was just on the phone for hours and on, these scheduled conferences and trying to get to know people and campuses that he's never been to, and everybody making a pitch to something that's you can't really touch or walk on. So it was kind of different, So, but I thought he did a good job of going through that process and making the best decision that he could.
So this Oklahoma team seems to have kind of hit and miss. We know the quarterback change. Your son, again, I mentioned earlier, didn't get to play quite a bit early. What are your thoughts on where they are now? Did the off week help them, or did it maybe get them back into neutral rather than when they were trying to move forward with what they're doing?
You know what? I think for Oklahoma in particular, I think the off week was very, very warranted. I mean, if you go back, how many teams have played 9 straight weeks of football plus conditioning and workouts without a break? And if you followed Oklahoma, it's kind of taken a toll. So it has a lot of key injuries, especially in the secondary. And I think it's just a long time coming for them to get a break. I know Danny was banged up. He dislocated his elbow second game of the season, and they just had a lot of nagging injuries. So it's going to be good. It's well needed because I know Baylor is going to be a tough game, and I know OU I haven't been around it long, but Oklahoma fans know Baylor's tough, and I'm going to tell you they don't look past Baylor at all. I can tell you that right now.
All right, hey Steve, great to hear from you, man. We appreciate that. You're coming to town, right?
I will be there. I'll be there tomorrow night.
Okay.
Try to go down to George's.
Hey, I think you have my cell phone number. Text me. I'll be at the Baylor unveiling of the national championship banner in basketball at the Farrell Center. Give me text me a little bit, and let's just, at least I'll make sure we can fist pump or something outside the stadium. Okay?
Absolutely, Dave. You gonna be at the game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely. We'll be there.
Right.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, I still got some contacts. I'm gonna try to get down the field before the game, but I'll definitely shoot you a text. And then, guys, hey, thanks for taking my call. I listen to you guys a lot, even though you don't know it. And you know what? It's gonna be a great game, and I appreciate you guys.
Right, Part of a great dynasty in high school football in Texas. Those early to mid '80s. Dangerfield Tigers, Steve Stutzman, and played at Baylor. That was really cool for him to just call us off impromptu. Yeah. Thank you.
Arguably the greatest high school football team of all time, and a bunch of people out there don't listen, or don't know that. They don't know about 83 Dangerfield, but the greatest football team arguably in high school football history.
Yeah. 631 points scored and gave up 8 and had 14 shutouts in the last 13 of the year.
And 8 points means that 2 of those points were on accident.
A bad snap by a high school coach in Sunnyvale right now. He doesn't want me to mention John Settle's name, but that's who's the one that airmailed a snap of the punt. Thanks.
So was that no touchdowns, right?
No, there was a late touchdown, 1/2 against it. Might have been Carthage or Kilgore, one of those two.
So one touchdown and a
level above
snap.
it. All right, thank you. Great to hear from you, Steve. That makes my day. Thanks a lot. Let's go back to the calls.
Let's go to Gabriel in Oakland. Thanks for your call, Gabriel.
Oh, yeah, I had a question for you guys about the college football playoffs. We have a 13-person committee do the computer rankings. Need to come back to eliminate that kind of bias that the humans always have. And then do you think Oregon should be in the top 4 considering they lost to 3-6 Stanford team?
Gabriel, we actually just talked about that yesterday, about bringing the BCS back. And I think our agreement was the college football powers that be heard, we don't like what the computers are doing. No, we just think that you should go further down in the rankings and have a playoff. Not we want the computers keeping you out, or people were mad at the computers.
Computers in determining just 2 teams to play for a title, that stinks. Yeah. But a computer saying, hey, these are the best 8 teams, I'm all for that. Yeah.
I think Oregon's going to have a case to make. Whether they should be number 4 or not, I don't know. But I think they've got a case to make, and I think that most of the teams that lose in college football that are going to wind up in the playoff lose to teams that are worse than them. So, I don't know. I think you can start to get splitting hairs after a while.
Yeah, I just wish there was another way and a fair way, and I don't know if we'll ever get to that point, whether you use computers or not. The NFL does not use computers. The FCS does not use computers.
But they're, in the NFL, they don't have to. They have divisions and conferences. They're all in one league. These are all a bunch of different leagues saying, no, our champion's the best champion. And not only is our champion the best champion, but our second and third teams also deserve a shot.
Or fourth and fifth.
Yeah, in a certain conference. So, I do think there's a little bit too much bias, even though the playoff committee is going off a standard format. They're going off the same thing every single week, but it does seem like there's some bias involved. There's no doubt about that. And why? Why do we need to have that? I mean, I do believe there should be a human element, but I don't think the human element should control what a computer can tell us way easier and clearly without any bias. I mean, if you got a tool like that, and it obviously worked, it just didn't end up very entertaining at the end, then bring that back and implement it somehow. I don't see anything wrong with that, and it would eliminate a lot of the questions about the bias, because what are you going to yell at a MacBook that it's being biased for your team over the other one? I mean, no, that thing's just spitting out the numbers that's input, but this commissioner of this conference or this AD for this school, I can absolutely believe he's being biased towards another school. So, if you could eliminate that, I think it would be great, and it would take away a lot of this extracurricular conversation about the motives behind it all.
And there's still a human element because polls will still be involved. And I remember Art Browse got grilled over the coals because he had Oklahoma 2 and Texas was 8 after that game and all that went down. And so there's still a slight, but you're always going to be able to find something.
But you can weight things differently. You can decide what's the better, fix the formula to what, because there's lots of people out there with
But who's going to fix it?
Well, I mean, you got to have
a human element, right?
But fix the the data.
You need a human to put the data in there. But I mean, once he does that, the computer does the job.
You can weight the data differently based on things like that. So if you're worried about vindictive coaches, then weight the coaches poll a little bit differently.
Why did the BCS start? 97, Nebraska, Michigan? Is that what it was? Okay. Then why do we go to the college football playoff? Because of what?
LSU Bama.
LSU Bama. So, sometimes it's just it doesn't always work that well. It does. Sometimes you're going to have controversy. Sometimes you wonder how come there's 68 teams in the NCAA tournament. There used to be 16 and we still complain about who gets in.
If you're going to have a 12-team playoff that's determined by computers, what happens is, automatic conference champions, and then you go after that.
Which is on the field.
Yeah, that's on the field. And then after that, you go to your top 12 and fill in as needed. And look, if your conference champion happens to be the 17th ranked team that was 9-3 and won the game, well, that's just the breaks.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's just the breaks.
Right.
And that might mean the 12th ranked team gets bumped out, but
because look, man, there's going to be years, and I can just use one example, but there's years where, I mean, if not for Oregon this year, would I want to see the Pac-12 champion in this playoff? Probably not. But you know what? If it's going to be the full field, then absolutely, the Pac-12 champion deserves to be in it. Now, do they deserve to automatically be like a top 4 or 5 because they're the Pac-12 champion? No. Should they be like a 12 maybe because it's like a 3-team or a 3-loss team wins it? Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Yeah, weight it however you need to do it. I don't think there should be you won the Pac-12, so you're automatically locked into a top 4. No, if they're number 11 because that's what the computer says it, then they're the number 11 Pac-12 champ, and what would be wrong with that? Nothing would be wrong with that. Absolutely nothing.
One of the things I thought to compare it when I was watching the World Series this year and the Braves win is how awesome is it if you look back at baseball over the last 5 years that you have different champions every year. That one of the great things that baseball has done is expand the playoffs enough so that a team like the Braves, I mean, even though they won the division, can feel good about getting in and not be intimidated. They
earned their way by doing what they did to win a division.
Yeah, and
others earned their way by winning enough games to be a wild card. Correct?
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Does it matter to Major League Baseball that the Braves were maybe the worst team? Man for man in the playoffs and won it? No, because it's great for baseball.
It's a great story.
It's a great story. Yeah. So, again, doesn't matter.
254-339-1122.
As far as the Oregon thing, no, I don't believe that they're a top 4 team right now. I would not have them in my top 4. I would have Cincinnati above them because Cincinnati's unbeaten. And I understand the Ohio State win. I totally get that, but I also understand the Stanford loss. That was painted as not that bad of a loss earlier. That's a horrific loss now. And I know it was in overtime, and so, look, those things happen. I'm not anti-Ducks at all, but I am somebody who does appreciate perfection over a blemish like a loss to Stanford. So I would have Cincinnati above them. I would have Oklahoma above them, and that right there would put them out of the top four. I mean, that's me. I think, in an expanded playoff, Oregon absolutely would be right there in the mix. But as far as top four, no, I would not have them in the top four right now. That's just me, though. I think they're getting way, way too much credit just for the one big win that they had, and they haven't beaten anybody else of substance since then. I mean, nobody ranked coming up. Maybe that changes with the championship game in the Pac-12, but with Oregon, we're literally focusing on a single game and saying they're a top four based on that one game and ignoring everything else.
Would you have them right now ahead of Ohio State?
Yes, they beat Ohio State.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
because Ohio State's lone quality win is Penn State.
Yeah,
and they're like in the 20s, early 20th or whatever.
Yeah, and look, there's 3 weeks to go, and there's also a fourth week with championship games. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that right now, a month out, that Ohio State doesn't deserve to be top four. Let them go and earn that and prove it. And if they do, then, hey, there's no argument to be made, and you're in there. Same thing with Oregon. But I'm not just going to put Oregon and leave them there while we're not giving Oklahoma any credit for who they played or what they've done just because Oregon beat one team. And I know they beat a very, very good team, but
they're in where they are ahead of Ohio State. Ohio State's right behind them. I agree with you. Yeah. They should be ahead of Ohio State. Now, there's a debate on who else should then be ahead of Oregon and Ohio State.
All right, we got 3 calls to go before we go to Mickey Spagnola. Peyton in Houston, thanks for your call. You're on the BetUS caller line.
How you doing?
Good.
Just want to say, as a Houston fan, I'm so glad that we're going in the Big 12. But I have a slightly different conference realignment question, because everybody's been doing this. Is if you could pick one team from any division, and then they'd magically be Big 12 worthy when they come in, what team would you pick from any division? For me, I'd pick Richmond just because the Spider's a cool mascot.
That's good opinion. If they're magically, and again, in this super hypothetical, if magically ready once they pass through the portal of conference realignment, they get the fairy dust sprinkled on by Tinkerbell. Who I would like to see Sam Houston, because they've won. I think it'd be kind of cool.
And you're talking about in the playoff?
No, if they could be in the Big 12. So what he's asking is, if you could pick a team, or North Dakota State, something like that, and then as soon as they come in, they're Big 12 ready. Like they magically become it.
Okay.
Yeah, who would that be for? You know what? Probably San Diego State.
Yeah.
Or UNLV.
Yeah.
That's who I would go with, because I think if a UNLV could come in and beat their Big 12 ready and they can win games and actually be competitive, and you had the Las Vegas market as like a place to host your championship game like the Pac-12 has now, I think that would be great. And as national as the Big 12 is going to be, as spread out as it's going to be, I think it'd be a nice little West Coast, area for you. BYU would be right there, and
well, they're in. I'm talking about a team that maybe not a part of it now. And I like the UNLV. San Diego State only because I'll be selfish. I want to go out to either one.
That would, I don't know if you'd want to deal really with the politics in California. I think that's where a hiccup might arise, as we're seeing with, the whole Cal thing right now. But, as far as a locale and just a fun, trip and, all that, if you could tell me that San Diego State's like ready to rip in the Big 12, I'm like, hey, bring them on. Them or UNLV would be my first choices if they could compete at that level. Yeah.
I don't know. I think
that's off the top of my head.
Obviously most of this, the non-Power 5 team, and we're talking about
never mind. Boise State would be the ones. I'm not going to include the ones that have been rumored. And by the way, everybody seems to think realignment is done right now after the moves yesterday. Do you get that feeling?
No. I get the feeling that's what everyone thinks, but yes. I don't think it's over.
Dennis Dodd proclaimed an end to realignment yesterday. Total end to realignment for the time being. And I was like, I don't know.
Well, for the time being.
For the time being, yes.
The time being could be that until the Pac-12 television contract is done and people can look at it, that might slow things down for anyone else in the Big 12, which we've mentioned from day one, basically. But, maybe it calms the waters for now, and I'm fine with that.
All right.
I do want I'm still telling you Chapter 2 is very much in the ocean and on its way somewhere to an island somewhere.
All right. Let's go to Howard in Oregon. Thanks for your call.
Hey, I I just got a couple points for you guys. From a fan's point of view, the playoffs was supposed to get some clarity on a national championship, and I don't think it's really done that. And as far as the Ducks, I'm no big Duck fan, even though I live in Oregon. All you got to do is look at Paul's logo on his T-shirt. That says it all.
I'm Reebok. I'm Reebok. Phil Knight doesn't own me.
Okay,
yeah.
Your point stands.
I thought it was the Swish. I apologize.
No.
But you know what I'm saying to you? It's like half to three-quarters of the teams in college, major college, wear the Swish. That's all. That guy's got a lot of power in college football, you know, and I think that plays a role in a lot of stuff. There's other players too. I'm not saying he's the only one, but I would say expand the playoffs. That's all you got. That you know, everybody's making this so confusing. That's what they did in college basketball in the tournament. You know, Mike Leach said put 64 teams in the college football thing. I think that's ridiculous. But you can reduce it. You know, you can reduce that to make it maybe the first 10 or 12 teams are in it, and it would make it a little more fair, I think, than it is right now. It surely hasn't done what it was set out to supposed to do, in my opinion. That's it.
Thank you very much. No, it's a mess. It's a mess. There's maybe despite what we can do and all the things we can go fly into Mars or whatever, that we can't figure out a college football playoff is stupid.
Yeah, it
and
really
I don't know if
is.
there really is a way. I don't know. Like somebody just asked me, my opinion, they're not going to this. I was just told. Ross Dellinger said they're not going to 8. To me, 8 would make so much sense. 5 conference champions in the Power 5, the highest ranked group of 5 team, and you want to put some kind of a parameter on if they have to be ranked in the top 10, I don't care. 2 at-large teams, go. 8-4-2 champion. That's me.
That was what I always was in favor of, but I know that there's, you know, a lot of, you can't not have potentially a third, but to see that no matter the format, there's always going to be a yeah, but to it.
Yeah,
like there's always going to be a yeah, but.
I think with 12 teams, though, with the expansion into the conferences, the power conferences being bigger, it was going to go to 12 just so that, you know, you can assure that.
Then why play the season? You know, then why?
Well, I think that's a little overreaction to just 4 more teams is why I play the season. But I'm with you as far as like kind of what I was saying earlier is there are some questions of why play the season because it is a little bit too predictable there towards the end, and because of, you know, again, the focus on the playoff, and these 4 spots, there's such little focus on the actual, like, you know, results themselves half the time, or you know, second half of the season for 90% of the teams, and maybe I'm just misremembering it. Maybe it was always that way, but I don't feel like it. I feel like there was, you know, prior to the playoffs, still some excitement towards the end of the season of what bowl game you might get into or whose season you might spoil, and there's still some of that. But now, like, you could beat a team, and they're still in the playoff 3 weeks later. Like, it doesn't even matter, you know. So I don't know. It is crazy though that this sport has had such a difficult time figuring it out.
From Michael Wall, the lie told is that if you expand the playoffs, you diminish the regular season. The regular season is currently useless because a school can go undefeated and get no shot. You have to expand to 12. Michael, thanks for your
Michael,
your
you said it the best way possible, because that's absolutely right. I mean, that's absolutely right what you just said. You are diminishing the regular season, and yeah, I totally agree with what you said there.
Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys. What happens with Randy Gregory's injury? Craig's off the radar. Sam Bradshaw breaks down Baylor in Oklahoma at 5 o'clock. Max Olson, theathletic.com. Jennifer Smoak is back with us today at 5:30. Well, I hope the guy we're ready for that. And Paul's top 5 still to come. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Pickup Outfitters, Jay Errett, the owner, 220 Lake Air Drive. What they can do is add to whatever you have is what you drive as a vehicle. A pickup truck if you want bed liners, spray in or lay in. Bed covers, or you want bumpers and grill guards, they can do it. Or whatever accessories you are looking for to put on your car, truck, or minivan, they can do that at Pickup Outfitters. The website is createacommotion.com. Why? Because that's what they're wanting to do. That's what they want you to do with your vehicle. Maybe you need to spice it up a little bit. And then if you know Jay Aaron and the commercials he has on television, they're always just on the edge and create a commotion. He is a funny dude, but is a great owner of the business he has. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive. Create a commotion. Spice up your pickup truck, your minivan, and or your SUV at createacommotion.com and Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness continues to add more weapons to your getting or staying in shape arsenal with 8 brand new treadmills ready for you to run or walk a mile or 2 or 10. And with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman with more courts available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available, their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Everywhere you look, there's energy, passion, and commitment. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room, and all the locker rooms with showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts with a youth academy led by pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise available and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brad, what makes you different than anyone else, in your opinion, as far as what Boozer's does?
The fact that I own the jewelry store, anything I need to do, will do, or can do, I can do it. The buck stops with me, whereas a lot of places you have to go up the corporate command and corporate channel. Well, if you come in and want to make a deal, we sit there and we make the deal.
And you can find whatever someone's looking for, correct?
Anything is obtainable. I don't care what brand it is, what size it is, how much it costs, large or small. Anything is obtainable, and we can definitely get that in for you to see, look at, or buy.
Do you have the opportunity if people have to pay things off as far as a layaway program? What about what you have with financing?
Absolutely. We have 12-month no interest financing. We have layaway. If you want to pay with Bitcoin, I can take Bitcoin now. So if there's any way you want to pay for it, we can find a way out to make it work.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Prescott on the keeper, walks in, touchdown, Dallas.
It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
It is 4:33. Mickey Spagnola will join us here momentarily. Craig has Off the Radar coming up soon after that. Saturday, Baylor and Oklahoma, for a quick note for those of you who are going to be there. Sikkim 365, by the way, has a tailgate at the Brazos tailgating area right across from McLean Stadium, right there on MLK, and they put on a show. Ashley Hodge says that he will be there at 7 o'clock Saturday morning, bright and early, for that tailgate. We'll be here in the studio at 9 o'clock doing the pregame show. They'll have, it's going to be chilly. Okay, that's good. That's good football weather. 8:30 is when they'll start the tailgating with the food that Milo brings. Breakfast tacos, nachos, sour cream, guacamole, salsa, and a full bar. And also Papa Shot, Can Jam, ping pong, spike ball, dodgeball, 40-yard dash, and Muckle will throw the ball to unexpected Oklahoma fan, and also the fun will ensue. That's, again, 8:30 is when it starts. They'll be there around 7. Brazos parking, the tailgate across from McLean Stadium on Martin Luther King. Joined now by Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Mickey, is this the year of the calf?
Yeah, it sure sounds that way. And it's not just the Cowboys, it's around the league. I don't think I've ever seen so many calf strains. I don't ever remember writing anything about somebody here in recent history having a calf strain. I'm not sure what the deal is.
Mickey, this is a big loss given that DeMarcus Lawrence isn't back yet. And with Randy Gregory going on IR, correct? He is going on IR?
Yes.
Yeah, going on IR. This means Micah Parsons has to play defensive end for the foreseeable future, right?
No, I don't think so. I think he can do both. They've got some other defensive ends. And I think everybody needs to remember, and I thought this game is a reminder about that playing defensive end is not all about rushing the quarterback. You got to be able to stop the run. And I thought Denver did a really good job of attacking the Cowboys on the edges, making sure those defensive ends were playing the run, and they weren't. And they got a little wide at times. They got pushed in at times. I think in certain situations you can put Micah Parsons at defensive end. But again, then he's right on the line of scrimmage against a 330-pound offensive tackle. I'd like him rushing the quarterback better from the middle. And that's kind of where he got his sacks in this last game, standing up in the middle on a nickel situation and rushing from there. So, it's time for guys like Dorrance Armstrong to step up, Chauncey Golston to step up. Kamara is on this roster. Maybe he can play a little defensive end for him. But first and foremost, you got to stop the run. And I think that's got to be, goal number one this week for the Cowboys, knowing that they gave up 190 yards rushing to the Broncos.
Mickey, just how gobsmacked were you by that result, or is that just one of those weeks where that's kind of how the NFL operates, where sometimes, even if you're flying high, there's just that team you're not expecting that'll jump up and bite you?
Well, the whole league, right?
Yeah.
Look at the amount of upsets there were, or at least from a line standpoint. Jacksonville beats Buffalo. Seriously, and it was one game after another. I think I saw where there were 7 favorites got beat, and not by the line. They got beat. I just think it's one of those things. And I'm sure David has heard me say this a million times, that the more you win in the NFL, the closer you are to losing, because the percentages are going to catch up with you. You're not going to win them all, and vice versa. You're not going to lose them all. And at some point, I think Detroit's going to win one, right? Something will just fall in your lap. So, it's just the percentages. I don't think anybody thought the Cowboys were going to go 16-1. I just don't think that you thought when they finally got that second loss, it was going to be against Denver.
Yeah, and it was emphatic too. I mean, Denver came in and beat them up. The injured reserve rule changed. It used to be deadly. I mean, like, you're gone. And then they said you could bring somebody back in the night. They can now bring an unlimited number of players back from injured reserve after 3 weeks. Is that the new rule?
Yeah, you got to miss 3 games once you go on. If you go on injured reserve return, and then even then, David, after your required number of games being missed, you got another 3 weeks to get them starting to practice. And that's what's the deal with Michael Gallup now. He's missed his 3 games. This is his 3rd week to practice. And I think with Cedric Wilson missing practice these last 2 games with a shoulder injury, that Michael Gallup will be brought back off of IR in time for this game. But yeah, that's the deal. So if you look at Randy Gregory, they put him on IR today. So 3 weeks from today, which I think would be, help me out here, 1, 2, that would be the day of the New Orleans game, right? That would be 3 weeks, because next week's Kansas City, and then Thanksgiving, and then New Orleans next Thursday. So at least he's got to miss those 3 games, and then we'll see where he's at then. But, the problem is they still don't have DeMarcus Lawrence back, and he hasn't started practicing back yet either. Sure looks good rehabbing, but boy, you got your 2 starting defensive ends missing. And this is kind of like going back to the second game of the season when both defensive ends were out. And then Neville Gallimore is missing, and he was a prospective starting tackle. So 3/4 of your defensive line, and he's not ready to go back. So 3/4 of the defensive line is going to be played by backups going into this game on Sunday.
Mickey, I hate to hear you say that about Cedric Wilson. He has now become maybe, I don't want to say the most exciting Cowboy player, but man, he's one of the most exciting guys in the field when he gets a chance to make a play. And whatever they throw at him, it just seems to be fun.
No, you're exactly right. And I was just working on a piece on him for the Thanksgiving Day Game Day magazine. And, when I was going through it, it's like, yeah, he hasn't wowed you with the volume of numbers of his production, but it's when he makes the plays. It's always like he's right there just when it's time to make a play. And no more so than the Minnesota game when the Cowboys were struggling, and he catches at halftime the 73-yard or turns in the pass, the 73-yard touchdown to get the game tied up. So yeah, he I remember it was a week ago, I think, when I asked Kellen Moore, I said, what gives you the confidence to hand him the ball in such tight situations to throw a pass off an end around? And he smiled and he said, Boise State. He did it there. So you got 2 Boise State guys knowing what's gone on in the past. And he's right, because Cedric used to be a high school quarterback, and he switched to wide receiver at Coffeyville Junior College. It's in Kansas. His first year there, he said that he was doing both, like trying to play quarterback and trying to play baseball. He was a shortstop, and he said he had such a good year in football at wide receiver that he decided, okay, I'm making the switch. I'm giving up quarterback, and I'll be a wide receiver. And now you know the rest of the story.
So, Mickey, it's been an up-and-down season for the Falcons. Got the late game win after a Saints rally last week, held on by the skin of their teeth there. 4-4 on the year. What do you see from Atlanta? What kind of a challenge are they for this Dallas team?
Yeah, I think that it's a significant challenge. We know Matt Ryan likes to sling the ball around, and he still is, and quite successfully. So, to me, one of the things that reared its ugly head in the Denver game was the Cowboys resorting to giving up big chunk plays in the pass game. That was sort of what had been bothering them until the Minnesota game, and it was like, okay, maybe they solved this problem. No, they did not. All you got to do is see the 44-yard touchdown pass to some guy named Tim Patrick. Are you kidding me? And so that's one of the things that definitely has to improve. And then obviously the run game. Now, I don't think Atlanta wants to run the ball. They want to sling it around, especially to their tight end, Kyle Pitts, who basically is a wide receiver, in tight end clothing, although his number is not a tight end. And then you got to be careful with Cordero Patterson. This one really befuddles me, you guys, because I remember every time the Cowboys have to play a team that Patterson's on, the question is, well, how do you stop this guy? But he never stays in one place. He's always moving around. I think he's like on his 4th or 5th team right now, and I think maybe Atlanta's figured out how to use him because they're using him both as a running back and a wide receiver. So when he goes on the field, and I think even though his number's 84, he's not always a wide receiver. He's one of their leading running backs. And so it's sort of the way Green Bay did Montgomery. They used him. You didn't know if he was on the field lining up in the backfield, if he was going to actually hand him the ball or if he was going to move into the slot as a wide receiver. I think offensively this is going to challenge the Cowboys. But having said that, they just got to get back to moving the football defensively as they had in the first 7 games. Offensively in the first 7 games of the year.
Mickey, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Cowboys trying to bounce back from Denver. And appreciate Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Montgomery's the one that was at Stanford, I think, that they could move around quite a bit. When we come back, Craig Smoak and Off the Radar. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Man, we've been telling you for the last few weeks now about the dealership shortages and what's going on across America as far as, and really the world when it comes to a lack of new vehicles on lots. But Richard Carr is trying to make sure that you can still get yourself in a new vehicle. And the way that they're doing that is by getting you on their inbound vehicle list. The supply chain challenges, they are a huge challenge right now. But GM has announced that production, of course, having slowed, they are working on new cars and trucks, and those new cars and trucks are coming. So now's the time to contact Richard Carr ahead of those new cars and trucks arriving to get your name on that inbound vehicle list so you can get your car or truck first as they arrive. You're looking for a pickup? Well, Richard Carr has the Sierra. It's an ideal combination of power and strength combined with refinement and luxury makes Sierra the best truck on the road. If you want a roomy SUV, well, check out the Buick lineup of SUVs, various sizes and fits to fit your lifestyle. Or if you're looking for a combination of sophistication and power, check out the new Cadillac XT6 or the Cadillac Escalade. New cars and trucks are coming, so call or contact Richard Carr online with what you want to get on that inbound vehicle list and get your vehicle before anyone else. But if you are looking to save and drive today, you don't want to buy new, you're just trying to get in a vehicle, period, they have a load of premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All of them have gone through a 172-point inspection before hitting the lot, and 100% credit approval is always Richard Carr's goal. So go online or come by for a test drive today. And for those here in the Waco area, Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership. Give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. Richard Carr, owned, operated, and run by loyal and proud Baylor Bears.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfect pizza. Bob Mock has owned Marco's Pizza franchises since 2013 and has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in the Waco area. In Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Order at Marcos.com to make any moment better. Marcos. Pizza lovers get it.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Masters of barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads, crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary or Coach's margaritas and mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco, and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
Welcome back into Sikkim 365 Radio. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak. Time for Off the Radar. Taking a look and spending some time on some stories that we might not otherwise get to. Sometimes we would, but this is a good place to interject some of those that we have not yet. So I want to start off with Texas and Steve Sarkisian and, the whole debacle about the bus video that was released. We've talked about it. We had a call earlier in the show asking our thoughts on Bo Davis, Texas D-line coach, yelling at players on the team bus after their loss to Iowa State. And I think for the most part, most people are like, good for him. They've lost 4 games in a row, and obviously something set him off. So long as there was something that set him off and he didn't just walk on the bus and start yelling at guys, that would be taken a little bit differently. But Steve Sarkisian's commented on it now. Steve Sarkisian was asked about the Bo Davis rant and the fact that somebody on the team had to have recorded it and then, sent it out. I mean, that's how we all saw it. But Steve Sarkisian went on to say, I think one thing that jumped out to me when I first saw the video was, one, you could hear the passion in Bo's voice. We really believe in the staff that we hired and what we came here to do. I think you could feel the passion and the want to get it done. I think that Bo exemplifies that. He said, we're here to build a culture that we want. It's just a culture that we're looking for, and to stand our ground and what's acceptable and what's not. You're going to have people that buy into what you want to do. We have plenty of young men on our team that are buying in, and we have continued to buy in, and that are doing it the way we want it done. Clearly, we have some that don't. He said it was unfortunate that a player recorded that and then sent it to other people, but they have met with the leadership council to discuss what happened, and they've also discussed on whether or not the player who released the video, which I assume they found out, will be disciplined or not. He said young people make mistakes, and that's a mistake they'll handle internally, but it's unfortunate because there's now a narrative that that's how the entire team feels. So they're handling it. That was his basic comments on the video released.
Anytime there's a new coach, there are going to be people who, no matter what, no matter how great the new coach may be, are going to be stalwarts for the old coach. We saw Matt Rule go through it here at Baylor, and I'm sure Dave Aranda went through it at least in some degree, even though that transition wasn't nearly as rocky.
And especially because he couldn't be right in front of him very often.
But yeah, I'm sure. But it does not. I mean, there are people who are, and look, Dave Aranda probably had to contend with people who still might, feel the same way about the three coaches they saw before he got here. Mm-hmm. So you don't know how people's attitudes are, but
should the player be disciplined?
Absolutely, absolutely,
for sure.
Especially among his own. If the leadership council thinks he should, if those other players on the team do, and I do think that what Bo Davis said. He said that if you don't like a transfer, the transfer portal's right there. And that's going to happen. There's going to be more people leaving the University of Texas this year than maybe ever have in one off season.
And that might be a good thing.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and
I bet Charlie Strong, he got rid of some, and there were still some people who were struggling.
By the way, I was thinking, can you I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to, but can you imagine what a fifth straight loss and a loss to Kansas would be like? God.
No, it would be an absolute, if it's not already near melting.
I mean, Bo Davis would rip the front of the bus off.
Oh my gosh! Hulk. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect that to happen in any way, shape, or form. But I couldn't help but think, what if that did happen?
It's very fortunate for them that Kansas is the one who's on their schedule to help them stop that losing streak.
Oh yeah. By the way, he also talked about the starting quarterback spot last week. Casey Thompson was replaced by Hudson Card. That's kind of been for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'd say, a little bit of a back and forth in the fan base on who's better or who should be playing or this or that. But he's holding off on naming a starting quarterback. He said that both Hudson Card and Casey Thompson will see some time, but as far as naming an outright starter, he's not going to do that, and I guess we'll see perhaps tomorrow. He said he wanted to evaluate some tape, but maybe on Saturdays when we figure out who would you guys roll with right now? Knowing where they are and what we've seen and all that, what would you do if you were Steve Sarkisian? Just curious.
Talked to an Austin media member at the game 2 weeks ago, and he said that Casey Thompson to him is very Case McCoy, where he's fine. He's fine. But
Case McCoy was really good.
Case McCoy was really good.
Case. I'm sorry.
Case
McCoy. No, Case McCoy was
not
just
Colt McCoy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Case McCoy.
Yeah.
His younger brother. He was fine. I mean, that he's what they needed at the time. But what Casey Thompson is today and what Casey Thompson will be in a year and a half, the same thing. Hudson Card has upside, and I think at this point where you're not contending for the Big 12 anymore, and you're about to go play Kansas.
Wait a minute. Didn't Casey Thompson throw for 400 and some yards against Oklahoma? Was that? Yeah. Did I just dream that? I mean, he looked pretty.
It was 400. I don't remember the exact number.
But
he did well.
But that's kind of the assessment. I kind of agree. Play the guy with the most upside right now, and then you got the spring to work it out again.
Well, it also could be that, as you've said, for 2 or 3, 4, 8 months, I know, but they may not have their next year quarterback on the roster right now.
Yep. So elsewhere, UConn has a new football coach. There were thoughts that maybe they would just shutter the program again, but they are adamant that they are going, to play football, and they're going to keep playing football. And I think they, made a pretty big commitment. Jim Mora is the new head coach at UConn. Was at UCLA just a few years ago. His last season was in 2017. He was 46-30. He's 59 years old. While at UCLA, they went to 4 bowl games in 6 seasons. Of course, he's also been an NFL head coach at a couple of stops, both with the Seahawks and the Falcons. They're an FBS independent. They're all in on football, even though it's been a very rocky road for them in football. And he will take over for Randy Edsall, who was let go back in September. So the 1-8 Huskies, who now get ready to play Clemson, have a new football coach, and it's Jim Mora Jr.
Yeah, well, I mean that's probably the best coach they could have hired there.
Is he really 46-30? That's his record. It's better than I thought. I'll never forget what happened to his UCLA Bruins. Wasn't he the head coach when Baylor played them in the Holiday Bowl? Embarrassed them, physically just annihilated them with the running game. But He's been out for a while. He's been an analyst. Is that right?
Yeah. He was. And then, of course, his dream job was the University of Washington, and he somehow tripped up. And look, if he does well at Connecticut, Jimmy Lake's not going to be there very long. He might be able to get it again. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think it's I don't know what everybody's opinions out there are on Jim Mora Jr., but I think in terms of a name and somebody that you can kind of point to as the head of the program, if you're UConn, I mean, you could do much worse, I would say, than a recognizable NFL name. So yeah, Jim Mora Jr. is the new head coach for UConn football. I mentioned earlier that conference realignment appears to be somewhat over for the time being, as the Mid-American Conference announced today that it is going to remain at 12 teams. It will not pursue expansion and wanted to end the speculation, saying, following an analysis and evaluation by the membership, it's been determined our best interests are served in the conference remaining at full 12-member institutions. So basically, here's the realignment dominoes. You had Texas and OU announce they were leaving for the SEC by July 2025. You had Conference USA, who had 9 schools announced that they were leaving. They've since added Liberty, Jacksonville State, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston State, which will start in 2023. Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee states were looked at as potential MAC options, but it was announced that they are going to remain in Conference USA rather than joining the MAC. So because of that, the MAC has decided that they are going to stay pat. And, I guess for right now at least, you will see this kind of slow to a crawl a little bit, although the rumors will be out there about the Big 12. And, of course, Conference USA was on life support. They lost Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA to the American. Marshall left for the Sun Belt, but they are bringing in Liberty, Jacksonville State, New Mexico State, Sam Houston. So, yeah, I mean, that's a lot to keep track of, but it looks like for the time being it's slowed to a snail's pace.
Till the Pac-12 gets their TV contract, it probably will be.
Yep. So there is the Mid-American saying that they are going to stay put for those out there looking for more realignment movement. Odell Beckham has a new team. He's agreed to terms with who else? It seems like anytime there's a big name that's available, they go to one of two places. They go to Kansas City or they go to the Los Angeles Rams, and that's where OBJ is headed. He's agreed to deal with the Rams. He was still, rumored to be involved with the Packers, and there was a couple of other teams that were in the mix as well as far as just the speculation that's gone on over the last couple of days. But he's joining the Rams, so in the last 3 weeks, they've added a defensive player.
Von Miller.
Von Miller, yes, and now Odell Beckham Jr. to a roster that already had Matthew Stafford joining the offseason, and they've got Jalen Ramsey. I mean,
he'll be perfect in L.A.
Aaron Donald. It's crazy.
They want star names, and they got them. We'll see if they all get together and get along.
Yeah, we will. But, I mean, can you imagine that pro shop, just all the jerseys they got in there, all the star power they have? But, we will see if it works out for him. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the NFL, Cam Newton is back with the Carolina Panthers and Matt Rule. They cut him a while back, but Sam Darnold's hurt, and he's going to be out for at least a month because of a fractured scapula in his throwing shoulder. They need somebody to just be quarterback, so here comes a familiar face in Cam Newton.
P.J. Walker will start this week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Cam back. I mean, that's the best guy on the roster right now. They brought Matt Barkley up from the practice squad, and Cam can hand off to Christian McCaffrey. I know that Joe Brady's offensive
12
system
times a game
is different, but McCaffrey's back now. He's back.
But he's not full. Then they should, because he seems to be a little fragile.
Yeah, apparently, because they did kind of end on bad terms. Cam felt like he was forced out and this and that. But
because he was.
Yeah, well, he was. No, he was. Yeah. But, I mean, that led to some led to some angst. And that's all been cleared up. Apparently, according to Ian Rappaport, he met with owner David Tepper, their GM, and their VP of football operations. And he had already previously met with Matt Rule, had an honest conversation. They cleared the air, and they're moving forward. So Cam Newton is back with the Carolina Panthers. Just a couple more things here. I'm sure everybody's seen the news of what happened in Houston this past weekend at the big Travis Scott concert. Just a tragedy with the crowd getting out of control, people getting, basically stomped on. I mean, as the crowd just lost control, and there was nobody authority-wise that was able to do much of anything about it. I mean, Travis Scott, the performer and the organizer of the festival, his hometown's Houston. He's the reason why there was an AstroWorld festival to begin with. It's all him, basically. But in very odd timing, the Houston Rockets were apparently going to hold a Travis Scott Day yesterday, but they had to postpone it because of the fact that, he's just been recently in the news for a festival that went awry and left 8 people dead and many others still in the hospital. So instead, they held a moment of silence before the game. And, that was their first home game since that happened this past weekend. So they nixed the Travis Scott idea. Probably good there. But
probably a good, smart thing to do.
What a bad story that was. I don't know how much of that y'all watched.
I did.
And we've seen it before, across the world that's happened. But that was an awful thing to witness. All right, tonight, college football. North Carolina is at number 21 Pittsburgh, starting at 6:30 on ESPN. So got a good little game there coming up tonight with a top 25 matchup. Also tonight in the NFL, 6-2 Ravens will be on the road against the 2-7 Miami Dolphins. That starts a little bit after 7 o'clock. So there is your 2 big football games later on tonight, and those are a few things that are off the radar.
Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it. We are loaded up in this 5 o'clock hour. Cam Newton back with Carolina and Matt Rule. That's one of those, hey, we don't need you, but can you come back?
Yeah.
We kind of do. All right, when we come back, Sam Bradshaw breaks down Oklahoma and Baylor. Then Max Olson on college football this week, and then Jennifer Smoak on fantasy football. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
If you are looking to buy a new home or sell the one you're in, you need to call my friend Lance Donaldson, the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Look, it's a seller's market right now. So you got to navigate that. I've talked about this on this spot a couple of times, in that there's a house in my neighborhood's been on the market for a long time, and it says it's for sale by owner. And look, you're not going to get people in your home when you're trying to sell it yourself. I mean, you could. I'm not going to poo-poo you completely, but that's what a realtor does, get people in to look at your home. That's why you hire a realtor. That's why that cost is worth it, because you're going to make more money on the back end, which is what you want. So give Lance a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
It's time for some high school football. Berg Colgan Ford proudly celebrates the Panthers, Cadets, Lions, and all the Central Texas football teams as they march their way through the season and down the field. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgan Ford. We'd love to show you our Broncos, Raptors, and Mustangs. These vehicles are winners with their sporty options and designs. Nominate who you think deserves the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week at FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com. Visit us anytime at BKFord.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
At Allen Samuels in Waco, we're celebrating the Black Friday sales event. Ram, bringing the first truck brand to take the top spot overall in new vehicle initial quality by J.D. Power. With a new 2021 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star, you can get total values up to $7,250 or 2.9% for 72 months, plus $2,000 in bonus cash. All first responders get an extra $500 and no payment for 90 days at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. The team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Hey guys, sports betting season is in full force with football season entrenched and the NBA and NHL underway and the Major League Baseball playoffs. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity like BetUS.com. BetUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That's BetUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses like ours at BetUS.com. 125% bonus on promo code SICK'EM125 or a 200% bonus if you use crypto on promo code SICK'EM200. BetUS, known as America's favorite sportsbook. NFL, college football, MLB, UFC, PGA golf, they've got it all at BetUS.com. So go to BetUS.com today and use promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200. That's BetUS.com, promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Looking for a shot. There it is. It is Bedney. Touchdown.
It's time for our weekly segment with Sam Bradshaw of Sikkim365.com. Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, if you go to Sikkim365.com, register, be a part of the premium section, you will get with what Sam Bradshaw does to break down an upcoming opponent with Baylor and Oklahoma, and also looking back at TCU throughout the week, and then he'll eventually have his comments Saturday evening or so on the results. Sam Bradshaw, Sikkim365 Radio. So, Sam, I thought I heard Dave Aranda Monday mentioning, and as we know, they could not get to Chandler Morris. A couple of times probably did, but they couldn't wrap him up. Does what they do trying to stop the run affect them being able to get to the quarterback unless it's Petrie and Terrell Bernard?
Thanks for having me on. And first and foremost, just with that game, part of it was Morris doing great in terms of his throws. I mean, the throw on the flea flicker was perfect. Baylor had 2 guys in position. They still threaded it in there. Schematically, it doesn't stop you from getting pressure, but your guys have to win one-on-ones, and they didn't get that done consistently against TCU. And you had 3, 4, maybe even 5 times you had Morris in the backfield, but you let him go. And if you do that against a mobile quarterback who's accurate and can throw downfield, they can extend drives on you, and that's what happened. And, you know, Baylor didn't do completely terrible on defense that day. The result was, but their red zone defense largely kept them in there, despite some other mistakes they were making, and they absolutely shut down TCU's running game. They got them to a lot of long yardage situations as well. They just didn't close them out, and you have to slam the door when it's there. And, you know, as a result, you picked up a loss. You can't have opportunities to sack a guy and let him squirt free to extend a drive. You can't have somebody come on a corner blitz without somebody picking up the receiver, and just so many mistakes. I think you'll see a cleaner game from that defense this week, and they'll need it. They're up against the best offense in the league.
Sammy, you mentioned that, best offense in the league, and the one thing that seems to be kind of Baylor's kryptonite is quarterbacks who can move around and make things happen outside the pocket, and that's what Caleb Williams does really well. Not the best week to be having to recoup that after Chandler Morris just 6 days ago.
Right. On its face, that aspect of the matchup is troubling for Baylor, but at the same time, you've got a week where basically everybody in that defensive room is going to be focused on nothing but that after you basically had one of the more embarrassing outings you could have defensively. And as a result of that, I think you'll see something a little better. And remember, Baylor did an outstanding job going into Norman last year. I remember being on this radio show with you guys last year talking about how difficult it was going to be for them to slow Oklahoma down. And what do Roberts and Aranda do? They don't have Kalen Barnes. They've got a convert center at nose tackle. They got Josh Landry at defensive tackle. And they're having to play jack linebackers at the field end spot. And they're able to go and hold Oklahoma better than just about anybody did last year. Higher percentage sacks, higher percentage tackles for loss, held the running backs completely in check, did a very good job limiting big passing plays as well, really made Oklahoma work for just about everything. Unfortunately, the offense couldn't get on track, which was a recurring theme last year. But, this is an offense that's outstanding, and they have a bye week to prepare for you. But Aranda has a pretty good track record over his last few matchups with Lincoln Riley and with a lot of these air raid teams. And I have to imagine he's got a pretty good game plan to mitigate a lot of what Oklahoma does, because Oklahoma is built on power running game. They'll do zone schemes, they'll do gap schemes, and then they'll build some play action looks off of it and some RPOs off of it that are pretty deadly. And what I remember from that game last year is a lot of those go-tos for Oklahoma, Baylor was well schooled on it. The drag route screen, Petrie detonated the receiver, saw it coming a mile away. A lot of the concepts they do where they have in-breaking routes on one side of the field and bring a guy on a shallow route from the other side and try and sneak him vertically after that. Oklahoma tried that 2 or 3 times, and Baylor was all over it every time. They made the Oklahoma Sooners work for it last year, and Caleb Williams will make it a lot tougher to stop the run this year because you have to play things a little more honest on the backside of the formation. But, it's an interesting matchup, and I think Aranda should have a pretty good game plan in place.
Sam, Gary obviously had the interception to end the game last week when Baylor was right there knocking on the door of a game-winning field goal. It can't happen. Just can't happen. But, had the one earlier in the game in the end zone that was tipped up and, point wherever you want to on that one. But overall, how did you feel like he played last week in comparison to what we've seen from him previously? And what are you looking for maybe in terms of sharpening the iron, so to speak, and what he will need to do this week against an Oklahoma defense that can bring a lot of pressure, got a lot of guys up front and get in the backfield?
Well, I think Gary played okay. He missed a few reads that could have extended drives, and he was a little late on that deep throw that got tipped, and he was late and inside on the throw that ultimately got picked to end the game. But I don't think he played terrible. I think the offense took way too long to adjust to some of the things TCU was doing, and it's not anything overwhelming that they were doing. They were well scouted, and they had a good game plan for Baylor. But little things like slanting your line and bringing an edge pressure off of the side alongside that with tight coverage, it took them a while to take some deep shots against that. And even some of the boot action that they were doing, just play action and roll out and hit the check down, that took too long to get going, and they were able to hit Ben Sims for a pretty decent gain on it, but you're letting 2 or 3 drives go by, allowing them to camp out on you and really do some aggressive stunts and do what they can to try and take away the wide zone. It's coming. You've got to adjust sooner.
So it's Caleb Williams, we know, can wing it. He could throw a football through a keyhole. We also know he throws one of the prettiest deep passes I've ever seen. And yet again, he can hurt you with his legs, as Chandler Morris did, a different style guy. But so do you put pressure? You want to put pressure on him, but how dangerous is that if you don't get to him?
Well, it's dangerous whether you get to him or not, because Lincoln Riley is very good at taking the rules that your secondary guys are following in coverage and turning them against you. So if they know your guy is checking to the first receiver on this side and then looking at the second receiver, depending on which routes they run, he'll take those rules and use those to get them out of position. He's done a wonderful job using formations, tempo, and just different personnel groups, because they've got 3 or 4 tight ends that can split out as receivers. Their running backs can split out, so they can line up in virtually any formation without substituting and stress the very structure of your defense. So I think you do have to come after him. You have to mix it up in how you do it, but you have to come after him because the kid's outstanding, and you can't let him sit back there. And, you know, he still is a freshman, though. The interception he threw against Kansas, he had a guy wide open in the flat that would have been an easy dump off, get 12 yards, live to see another down. He was late recognizing the first read that was deep and wide open that could have been a touchdown, and then he tried to force it to his second read. So while this kid is amazing and easily one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, he's still a freshman. He still has some room to develop, and you've got to get some pressure on him, see if this kid, who's fairly early in his development, will cough up a couple of mistakes or that might turn into turnovers, or at the very least help you get off the field. Because, you know, you can lose track of somebody, but if they don't see him and they don't put the ball on him, you live to see another down and they're not beating you. You know, you dial up some pressure, you get to them to the best of your ability, and you just don't make it easy on them. Baylor did a good job of it last year, and hopefully they can do it on Saturday.
Sam, in regards to that pressure, one thing that has been a common theme all year long is a lack of pressure at times, and not being able to get pressure without sending, you know, Petrie or Bernard in there screaming, you know, hot on a blitz. So when you're looking at the Baylor D-line or the Baylor defense, where is that missing pressure in your, like, where is that happening to where they're unable to find that as much as they would like to?
Well, it's a little bit of different things. Part of them not getting pressure without sending certain guys is the structure of the defense. This is a defense that's designed to have 3 primarily anti-run guys up front.
Right.
And they specialize in creepers, which is bringing a 4th rusher from different spots and doing so disguised, or simulated pressures where you show like you're bringing 5 or 6 and then you're only bringing 4, but based off the way you've studied your opponent, you know they're going to do man-on-man protection, so you send an inside backer. Or you know they're doing slide protection, and you know you can get a good matchup of a running back against an edge linebacker. So part of it's the fact that this defense is designed to stop the run and then pick their spots to get favorable matchups in pass rush. So with that being the case, you've got guys that would be defensive tackles in more of a 4-3 style defense playing defensive end for you. And that's 2 of your 4 rushers. And you have a true nose tackle in Siaki Ika, who, for a 340-pounder, the guy moves incredibly well, but that's still 340 pounds. The guy is not going to be blown by the edge at that speed. And,
right.
You know, so to a certain degree, guys have to win matchups. They got to get to their spots, and that needs to improve. But also part of that is still tied to the scheme that you're running, and it takes some pretty unique talent to be able to do both in terms of holding up against the run and some of what they ask them to do, and also show up and get some of the pressure on the quarterback that way.
Is it better for Baylor to get into a game? Well, I mean, obviously I think I know the answer to this, but Baylor can put up some points. Is this a game where they need to try to dummy it down a little bit as far as use a little bit of the brakes, but still, or can they win a shootout with Oklahoma?
Well, I think if I had to game plan a successful way for Baylor to win this, I look at the Kansas and Kansas State games. Oklahoma had maybe somewhere between 8 to 10 drives in those games because the opponent kept working them on the edge, had their base runs open a lot of that up for them, by the way. And then they were able to get high percentage completions built off of their base run game. I mean, Kansas is another wide zone team. And while they had some success running wide zone, the Kansas offensive line is not the best. And it was more sporadic inside, but a lot of the arc reads and other ways they got the quarterback on the perimeter, that worked. They had a reverse that worked. And both those teams did a really good job of attacking the field side flat, where Oklahoma was taking their corner and dropping him really deep. And they were able to get a lot of high percentage completions there. And that's something Bohannon's been able to work basically all year. So if you can run your offense, milk the clock, consistently gain yards, not necessarily just with the run. I mean, you lead with that because you need to make sure that they respect it. But if you can stay on the field, which is something Baylor's done outstanding at the vast majority of the year, you make it to where each freshman mistake that Caleb Williams makes looms that much larger. I mean, if you kill a drive off a freshman mistake and it's a game like their game against Texas where you have 15, 16 drives, that doesn't hurt you nearly as much as a game where you have 8 and your opponent's scoring nearly every time. I mean, to give you an idea of just how perfect Oklahoma had to be in that second half against Kansas, of all the times they got to third down, they had to convert all of them to escape Lawrence. And even within that, you know, you had a fourth down play where Caleb Williams had to break 2 tackles and take it to the house. And then you had another one where Kansas had Kennedy Brooks in the backfield and Caleb Williams took the ball from him. And after a lengthy review of, is this legal?
Yep.
They survived. You know, Oklahoma's defense is not the best. They've been without some of their better guys at corner, and they lost their best pass rusher off of last year's team. And they really haven't been able to find their level in that sense. I mean, when I look at yards per drive surrendered, and especially compared to the opponents they're playing, this defense statistically has been performing about as bad as the 17 and 18 years that have been lampooned around Norman for a while. You know, they were a good defense the last couple of years, but this year just hasn't matched that. And I mean, offensively, they're very good, and Caleb Williams has been lighting the world on fire. But ever since that Texas game, they've been facing bottom of the conference defenses. And while Baylor is certainly coming off an ugly game, Baylor still represents a step up in defensive competition. So if you can get that offense going the way that they were able to do it in the Kansas State and Kansas games against OU, I got to think Baylor can break serve defensively. Bears got a chance to win this, and I would not be surprised at all if they won it.
I'm with you, Sam. I think they've got a great chance to win this game. I mean, I'll pick Oklahoma right now, but I definitely am not ruling out the possibility of an upset brewing in Waco, and I think Oklahoma's going to be ready for it as well. I'm curious, straight up right now, who you taking, Oklahoma or Oklahoma State?
I want to watch the film to see how much of the pressure Oklahoma got on him last year was Ronnie Perkins.
Yeah.
But I don't trust Spencer Sanders to hold on to the ball, but man, that Cowboy defense is good. And man, the Oklahoma defense has regressed. You know, right now I'd probably have to lean Pokes just because I think defense travels. And, you know, they got so much pressure on Spencer Sanders last year. I got to think that without Ronnie Perkins, they're not going to be able to do that to the same degree. And I think their overall defensive struggles would stick around. But I do think Iowa State could be a lot of problems for Oklahoma as well.
Sam, I have less than 30 seconds, and I know that's not a lot of time. Do you think Baylor should have kept launching balls deep against TCU in that game?
I think they should have. But it depends on the situation. At the end where they threw the pick, I do not agree with it at that point, because if you score with 1:30 left, do you like your chances? Do you like your chances stopping Chandler Morris, or do you like your chances trying to milk some clock and kick a field goal to win?
Thank you. As always, Sam Bradshaw, S11 on the site, S11 on Twitter. And as J.D. Piquel told somebody yesterday who asked, why do I have to listen or want to listen? He goes, he's like the Rain Man when it comes to breaking it down, X's and O's. We appreciate his time. When we come back, Jennifer Smoak took a week or two off. She is back. Fantasy Football League expert, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Maybe some new listener has no idea what's going on. It's going to be so confused.
You're going to be so confused on this.
Yes.
Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it, and they should, because Marco's Pizza can deliver so many opportunities for you to enjoy pizza, the original sauce, and, of course, the 3-cheese blend. And you can get whatever pizza you want, from, obviously, the thick crust or original, or what we like, at least I like. I always have liked the thin crust instead. Here's the menu from what you need. All meat, deluxe, garden pizzas, Hawaiian chicken, pepperoni, magnifico, white cheesy. Those are just some of the pizzas, along with you can build your own pizza bowls, which is kind of neat. And the pizza bowls are basically the same thing, except they're not on pizza crust, but in bowls. And they have sub sandwiches, Italiano, steak and cheese, and chicken club salads that you want, if you want that, even including Greek and garden, along with the chicken Caesar and Italian chef. They have chicken dippers, chicken wings, cheesy bread as side items, desserts including Cinesquares. My favorite pizza is the all-meat, including extra Italian sausage. Got a little kick to it. Flat bread, thin crust, and I love it. And we get it sent here on occasion, here at the station, and they do a great job of getting it to us. And usually the boxes are done by the time we leave after the end of the show. Pizza lovers get it. Marco's Pizza with 3 or 4 locations in Waco, Robinson, China Spring, Woodway, and Belmead. Marcos.com.
It's time for some high school football. Berg Colgan Ford proudly celebrates the Panthers, Cadets, Lions, and all the Central Texas football teams as they march their way through the season and down the field. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgan Ford. We'd love to show you our Broncos, Raptors, and Mustangs. These vehicles are winners with their sporty options and designs. Nominate who you think deserves the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week at FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com. Visit us anytime at BKFord.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strip, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, here we go on this Veterans Day. Jennifer Smoak, Fantasy Football League owner, commissioner, expert, joins us for the first time. It's been a while. Travel, a team that struggled. She joins us for the first time in 2 or 3 weeks on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. I asked Paul, and I requested to Paul, that we use the Steve Austin Broken Glass entrance. And what did you tell me?
Well, it's copyrighted. We don't pay for that kind of music, and we would get flagged on YouTube. So if Jennifer wants it, she's going to have to pay those rights fees, which would not be just for that one song. It would be for like every song we'd ever want to use.
So I'm sorry that we disappointed you with that, because that's what you wanted, because you won. You won last weekend. And I was like, I honestly forgot about your team, because it's been so hard. And so you said David on a text to me, and that I didn't know what it meant. You won. What was the feel? What's it like to win again?
I mean, I'm so happy, it's only my second win of the season, but, just to finally be able to say that I won and I am no longer a loser is just enough for me. And especially when I beat the number one girl in the league. So maybe she only had 60-something points. Maybe she lost Derrick Henry. Maybe she had a few issues last week. But it doesn't matter, because I finally got a win.
See, now look, aren't you glad you didn't draft Derrick Henry now?
I know. In all seriousness, okay, so Daniel has Derrick Henry. So I really obviously didn't want him to get hurt. But because the fact that, once again, I was told that he wanted me to get somebody that I didn't end up getting, and then my first pick got hurt, of course, I'm dreading it all season like I usually do. And then when he got hurt, it just kind of was like, okay, I feel better now. I mean, it still sucks. I hate that. And I hate that for Derrick Henry, because I feel like this could potentially be one of those injuries that, if it doesn't heal correctly, and it could continue to affect him, in the future. But at the same time, it did make me feel better and not regret it as much for not picking him. But, of course, I hated it for Daniel.
Who was your big star last weekend?
Well, I would say that my biggest star last week was probably Kirk Cousins, because he finally had a big week for me, especially with their, 30-31, I believe they lost, but he still had a lot of throws and everything. So Kirk Cousins was actually came through for me last week. So that was good, since Russell still had been hurt, and hopefully I can get him back this week.
Well, he's going to be back. So who? Russell Wilson is back, and he's.
Well, do you go away from Cousins?
For Russell Wilson, you do. I mean,
yeah, you do that.
But
maybe.
All right, so one of the guys you drafted early, and you were you bragged about, was this Waller kid, the tight end from Oakland, UNLV, and he's been an incredible disappointment.
Las Vegas.
Where?
You said UNLV.
Okay, well, so did he finally give you some points that help you separate with at least some points last week?
Not really. I mean, he has. He's been a complete disappointment. And, of course, I picked up this up-and-coming star, Freiermuth, who's been, amazing. And he got 2 touchdowns last week and seems to be like a huge target in the red zone, especially since they're not throwing to Claypool, another one of my weak wide receivers, who's now hurt with a toe injury. But I guess some MRI says it's not, a season-ending toe injury, but who cares, because I'm completely bored with him, and he'll be on my bench this week. But Freiermuth, I did pick him up, and, I also picked up I like Waller. Waller's great, but he's one of those guys that I put my neck out for in the fantasy draft this year, and he just has been a disappointment. I mean, he still gets, 10, 15 points, but last year, the year before, he was like a huge star. And of course, you put him on my team and it's just like he, de-escalates. But I still feel like that's somebody that it's really hard to bench somebody like that, because the minute you do, they'll go off. But they are up against the Chiefs this week, and I did pick up Dawson Knox this week since he's against the Jets, and I do feel like, if you look at Dawson Knox, he's way better than any other wide receiver that's on the waivers this week. He's a top 15 pass catcher in fantasy points and the number 2 tight end. So if I do have to bench Claypool, then, and I actually have him in right now as my flex position, Knox right now, and I still have Waller in. So I felt like that was a good pickup this late in the season when it's hard to, get people.
Yeah. Jen, actually, if your roster gets healthy here in the next couple of weeks, I think you're going to be fine. I mean, it's a little nerve-wracking that James Robinson is still questionable, I know, but yeah. I like the Dawson Knox pickup, and I like the Freiermuth pickup, and Freiermuth might be somebody you can put in there. Here's the good news about Pat Freiermuth for people is that Ben Roethlisberger can't really throw it that far anymore. So because he can't and his shoulder is hurt, the tight end who's not going to run deep routes is very valuable.
Yeah, no, he is terrible. And when you have someone like Claypool, who can be a star, and then you have Ben throwing it to him, gosh, it's horrific. But yeah, I have been very impressed with Freiermuth, and I do feel like that is a good pickup for me, and hopefully, he'll continue to progress and do good for me as it goes forward. But yeah, this James Robinson, it's like, I finally get McCaffrey back, and I feel like I was worried about his workload being limited, but he did have 18 touches, 14 times for 52 yards, and caught 4 out of 5 targets for 54 yards. So it is good to see that they are still playing him a lot, and they're not slowly putting him back in. So I just feel like as the weeks go on, hopefully that'll progress. I'm glad Darnold's out of here. Goodbye. Another horrific quarterback. And then, yeah, James is questionable. And then, I wouldn't be so worried about it because I also have Damian Harris, who's been amazing, that somebody accidentally dropped a few weeks ago. Thank you. But I'm sure it'll come to no shock as you that he's also listed as questionable due to concussion protocol. So honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do in that second running back position if one of those two guys doesn't come back, because I don't have anyone on my bench who's a running back. And I just dropped Boston Scott on waivers this week to get Dawson Knox. So, we'll see what happens there. But it sounded to me like it was worrisome that Robinson didn't play or hasn't, has had limited practice, but it does sound like Meyer's optimistic that he'll hopefully return this week. So we'll see.
He's never lied about anything.
Who's that, Urban?
Yeah, no. He's very honest.
Have you enjoyed, have you been more productive at work because of the fact you won in fantasy football?
No. Here's the thing, Dad. It's exciting to get the win, but I have to be real with myself and remind myself that I'm 2-7. Now, Daniel did try to make me feel better and said if I won out, there's that I would probably make the top 6, maybe. But I also think that a lot of basically what I need to happen is the people that are in the top right now, they need to stay in the top, and the girls that are in the middle, I need them to lose. And and we'll just see what happens. But don't get me wrong, it's nice to have a win, but at the same time, there's only 4 or 5 weeks left, and it's just kind of unrealistic, especially when I'm still in last place with my 2 wins. So it definitely made Sunday better, but we'll see. Because what was so exciting is I already knew I won on Sunday, and I still had 2 players left, and that right there is something I haven't felt since last year. So I'll take it.
Yeah, that's good. So who are you playing this week?
Oh, just another one of the hardest teams in the league.
Jennifer, when you're 2-7, everybody's one of the hardest teams in the league.
Yeah, but
no, it's Persia. Listen to this lineup, Dad,
Lord.
and I don't want to hear it. I know you're going to make a reaction. Just stay calm. But she's probably getting Aaron Rodgers back this week, and if not, she picks up Matt Ryan, which whatever. And then she's got Zeke, Najee Harris, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, which will be amazing if he finally gets Wilson back. Mark Andrews, one of the best tight ends. Henderson from the Rams, the Patriots defense, and Focus are kickers. So, yeah. It's going to be a tough one, but I don't know. I just have to hope for the best. Now, right now, Zeke and Harris are listed as questionable, so hopefully that stays.
Here's what you want to hope for, because Cleveland is better, obviously, than Miami. She also has the Ravens defense on her bench, and they're playing the Dolphins tonight with their backup quarterback. So hope that she doesn't swap it out, because that's what I would do.
Yeah, well, she probably – well, it's not her. It's her boyfriend or her husband. But, yeah, he probably will. So, but, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, would we be shocked if that happened? No, it's like last week, for instance. I'm playing Kara, and she picks up the Denver Broncos defense, which isn't, a terrible defense. But who would have thought that for the majority of the game last week, it would be 0 points on the Cowboys' behalf? And it's like, of course, when I'm playing this defense, they are shutting out one of the best teams in the league. And then finally, thank God, Dak, throws 2 touchdown passes in the end to kind of eliminate a little bit of that. But it's just a joke. It's like everybody I play, it's like 2 weeks ago, I'm playing, at Mike Evans. He has had a pretty slow, several weeks. No. I play him and he gets 3 touchdowns. The week after that, I'm playing Michael Pittman. He's getting targeted at, the 1 yard line. It's like, it's unreal, but you know what? I just have to laugh it off at this point and just keep hoping that I can win out and miracles will happen.
Yeah, and Persia, that's one of your best friends. She's the one that's
yes.
Yeah, so you don't want to get her mad because then you don't have a vacation place to go. So
stop.
Well, it's true. Yeah. All right. So 2-7, Paul. She's done, right? It's over.
Look, as long as there's a fight in the dog, there's a dog in the fight. Whatever. I don't know.
What the hell did you say?
As long as there's fighting the dog, there's a dog. I don't know. She's got some fight.
It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's fighting the dog.
Yeah.
He's tongue-tied because he's trying to probably make me feel better and he doesn't know what to say. I mean, gosh. I mean, but that's the thing, Dad, is like, you never know. People, like, because the people that are right above me, they're all, like, pretty tight. And then it's like, it can be anyone's game in the middle. So if some people, it may get some losses, then it could miraculously happen. I don't see it happening, but you never know. I mean, I would literally have to win out. I have to. I would have to win out.
Well, and that's why they play the games. That's why Denver played Dallas. We didn't. If that would have gone to who was supposed to win, the Broncos don't beat the Cowboys, and they absolutely did. So that's good as well. All right. So what was the best?
Go ahead. I have a question for Paul. Paul, what do you think about OBJ with the Rams? Like, how do you think he's going to do with this Rams offense? And is that somebody that I should pick up?
I don't think you have anything to lose. You're in last place, and I think he's going to do better there than he's going to do better there than he was with the Browns. So why not? I mean, who are you holding on to that's helping you be better?
Nobody.
Yeah,
nobody. And if I hold on to you, you're going to get hurt. So I might as well just let them all go. And then what about Elijah Moore with the Jets since Mike White is playing this week?
I mean, you've got to. I mean, I don't know how long that's going to be consistent, though. The Jets players scare me. And they're kind of, if you have to play them, then, roll your dice. But I wouldn't. The Jets are just so bad.
I know, they're horrific. They're really horrific. They should all of the players should be on my fantasy team at this point. So, okay, well, we'll see how it goes.
You are a supporter of Baylor athletics because we cover Baylor, but you have now a new football coach at your alma mater. What's been the reaction among all your sorority girls?
Oh, they're so excited. I mean, I have to say, I loved your interview yesterday with Joey McGuire. He sounds like a class act. He sounds exactly like what Texas Tech needs. They need excitement. They need somebody that's excited to be there. They need someone that, wants to be there and is looking forward to making them a better team because, all these years, it's like they're rotating these coaches and everything, and they're a team that can be great, and it's like they just need the right fit there. And I feel like with his history there and everything he was saying yesterday, it really, I feel like, has pumped up all of my sorority sisters, all of my friends that are Tech fans, and I feel like it's just a good way to end the season and get excited for next year. And so I wish him the best. I hate that Baylor's losing him, but I also know, they're still in good hands with Aranda, and I wish McGuire has all the success there.
All right, thank you.
Hope he loses every game.
She does?
I said I hope he loses every game.
Oh, Joey, huh?
It's funny, though, because I was with Craig this week, or Bubba, this weekend, and he called it. He told me that was somebody that, could potentially be going there, and then, sure enough, he did. So I'm excited for it. Maybe it'll help me, want to watch some more of their games.
Yeah, that would help. What was the best thing you cooked this weekend, or did you?
It was probably my homemade chicken strips, but I also did some taco soup. I made pancakes, bacon, eggs, Bloody Mary.
She went all out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But, yeah, no, I just Chef Boyardee this weekend.
That's awesome. Good for you. All right, Flipper, Jennifer Smoak joins us on Thursdays on Fantasy Football at 5:30. That's what Caden called it. All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina.
That means she'd be faster than lightning, right?
Yeah.
And then Flipper, faster than lightning. Yeah.
All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina's top 5 to wrap up this Thursday, 365 Sports and Sikkim 365 Radio.
BetUS.com. It's a great time of year for sports betting. NBA, NHL, NFL, college football, college basketball is underway. Lots of stuff to bet on. And look, if you've got our promo codes, Sikkim125 or Sikkim200, 125% bonus on a cash deposit, or 200% bonus if you use crypto. Can't beat that to open up an account at BetUS.com. So go to BetUS.com today, and they've got action on almost everything around the world. So they've probably got your game if you want. If you wanted to bet cricket or rugby or soccer, football, they could bet it all at BetUS.com. Great benefits, great action, great things going on at BetUS.com. So use our promo codes, Sikkim125 or Sikkim200 at BetUS.com.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Since there's some buzz about this, top 5 reasons to hire Deion Sanders as your head coach. I think that, I know he's in the mix for TCU, Drew Davison's reporting he's in the mix for TCU. And it was very well done, Craig, by the way.
Very.
Very well done. But Deion Sanders in the mix at TCU, and he's probably going to be in the mix if he doesn't get that job in the coming years. He's 8-1 at Jackson State right now. They're doing well. There are things about Deion that are positives. Now, I think the one negative, these are all positives. The one negative could take up 10 spots, but it's the same thing. The one reason you don't hire Deion, and I'll say this before I say the 5 reasons you do, is Deion is all about Deion. And while he might advocate for athletes and young men, Deion is always going to be about Deion first. And when you're a big-time college head football coach, you can't do that all the time. Sometimes you can do it a little bit. Steve Spurrier was about Steve Spurrier, but he knew when not to be. Nick Saban's about Nick Saban as much as and as selfless as he is as a coach, but he knows when not to be. I don't know if Deion has ever developed that skill, but here are the reasons you should hire him. Number 5, he will hire good assistants and be the CEO. I think he's well aware of his limitations as an X and O guy. But he will be the CEO, which what you need at the big college level now, you need somebody who can be a CEO. He can be that guy.
I agree.
Yeah, he can be. I wonder how many guys are going to be able to deal with the ego, though.
Yeah.
If you're a coach who doesn't care about getting any credit for anything, then go coach under Deion. Mm-hmm. But if you're somebody who is sitting there with grand dreams of being the next head coach in the Big 12 or something, and to do so, you're probably going to need a little bit of attention. I'm probably not coaching under Deion, honestly. Yeah. He's the CEO. He's the figurehead. So, the good part about it is where it starts and stops. It would start and stop with him as your head coach and go nowhere else. He could definitely fill that CEO role, and I would trust him, or trust, maybe not the right word, but I would actually think I don't know. I don't know if that would be better for him than being just a straight-up head football coach, but it seems like it would be. Yeah.
Number 4, the initial buzz as you get the excitement will last a little bit longer than normal with Deion, because people will keep talking about it because he's Deion Sanders. He's Coach Prime now, and that will go a little bit longer. And I think that you can really do some things, not even just recruiting, which we'll talk about in a second, but outside of that'll help build your program, especially if you are a school like TCU that's a really good job and needs attendance and all these things. Deion, I think, will help with that.
I agree.
Yeah, he would. The guy is all buzz and always has been his entire career, and he knows how to
generate.
Yeah, he knows how to generate talk and generate attention and things like that. So, Deion at a bigger school is certainly going to be in the news more often than any other coach probably being at that same school. Absolutely.
Yeah. At number 3, television will move up your game a spot or 2 each week. I promise, because Deion's buzz will mean TV ratings. So if you're worried about even your non-con little nobody games, it's probably going to get more coverage than it normally would because of Deion. So you're going to get attention you normally wouldn't, even for your kind of crappy games, because of Coach Prime.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what school he's at, obviously. Yeah. It depends on winning ultimately, because that might last for like a season. But, if they're 0-10 or whatever, then, I don't know how much people care about the 0-10 former NFL head superstar. But yeah, I mean, there definitely would be more consideration given to a Texas Tech or something if Deion was coaching. Yeah, absolutely. I could see where that would be attractive to TV networks.
Yeah. Number 2, and this could be number 1. I think number 1 and number 2 are interchangeable here. But number 2, your NIL will be second to none, because this guy's already marketing himself, and companies are going to come in and market the players too. So he'll know how to get that done. I know they can't be directly involved, but I would think your NIL will be second to none with Deion Sanders as the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
or
maybe.
The opportunities will be there.
The opportunities would probably be there. Yeah, I don't think it would guarantee really anything, and I don't know what the situation is at Jackson State and with any of those guys are getting money. I mean,
they are.
They are? Okay.
He got a suit
sponsor.
Yeah, he's got all these.
Who was the guy who signed a big deal? Or I forget now. But yeah, okay. I'm sure he would work very well in that regard.
Yeah. And number 1, if it's about recruiting, there's probably not many recruits in the country that he can't get a foot in the door, no matter where he is. If Deion's at TCU and he wants to recruit a kid who's top other 4 or Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, and Notre Dame, he's going to get his foot in the door. I mean, he is, because he's Deion Sanders. And the name of the game is recruiting, and I think that would be a huge advantage for anybody. Now, granted, can they develop the talent when the recruits get there? That's what the elite coaches do so well. We don't know if Deion can do that or not, but he will for sure get guys there.
Someone, if you get a call from him and it's him, you're going to probably return his call. That doesn't mean you don't return the call of the coach at Savannah State or maybe the coach at Texas Tech, whoever it is. Of course, we know it's Joey.
But it's going up. If you have a list of, I've got to call these people back. Deion Sanders moving up that list.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think if Deion were to be hired at TCU, I think that would create an immense amount of buzz. There's going to be so much more attention on them than there has been at any time with Gary Patterson, really, outside of maybe the playoff, run in the rivalry with Baylor in, 2014. Outside of that, though, I mean, yeah, he'd probably crush it. Like, again, I don't know on the field how it translates. I know his teams win games and whatnot, but I don't know, how good of a football coach he is. But, yeah, I mean, you put him in Fort Worth with all DFW around him. You give him a big assistance budget to bring in some of his buddies and let him go hit that recruiting trail. I can see him doing some serious damage. You got to ultimately win again. But, yeah, I mean, if you want to create a whole lot of talk about TCU all the way from now until leading up to next season, hire Deion Sanders and you'll get your money's worth.
Yeah.
All right, from the chat room, JG, 3 is spot on, Paul, if at a Power 5.
Yeah. And I think that's what Paul's suggesting is him making a big jump to a TCU, for example, which is where a lot of the rumors are right now. But, yeah, in Fort Worth, I'm sure Deion would do much better for his players NIL-wise with what he could do as opposed to a Gary Patterson.
And I don't think it'll be this cycle that he gets this. I think that
Unless it's
TCU. I even think then they're going to want somebody who has a more proven track record as a head coach.
And that's fair.
Winning games. But it's going to be soon. He's going to be at a Power 5 school as the head coach.
Michael Wall, thank you, but we're the ones that thank you for serving our country. Thank you to all Sikkim 365, all of the listeners showing and sharing appreciation for the veterans. We hope we do that every day and not just when it's Veterans Day or not when there's something that we have to go into battle or we have to go defend. That's every day anyway at all the borders around the world with what we do with our great troops. All right, for Hayden Bumpus and Jack McKenzie, also Armstrong Sims and Pearson, intern, back in it here at 360. Have you had fun, Pearson? Have you had fun?
Loved it.
He said he loved it.
Yes.
I have my headsets on. I think that's what he said. All right, for Paul, Catalina, and Craig Smoak, all of you in the chat room, thank you so much. More tomorrow about college football and what are the key games other than what we've covered, of course, throughout the week so far, and much more to get to. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for serving our country. I'm David Smoak. Good night. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports, and thank you to our great sponsors. Good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.